So, how's it going, everybody? Hope anybody out there that might be watching this is doing well. Yeah, yeah, watched most of Star Trek Day from yesterday. I did not watch the Star Trek Day stuff that came in after Strange New Worlds. I just, I apologize to the Picard fans out there. But yeah, not gonna go there. Just not. And hey, Thomas, good to see you, my friend. Hope things are well for you. I'm still a little. Hey, and Lord M is in the house. Good to see you. Taking my medications to hopefully help me get past the shock from some of the stuff from Star Trek Day. Did I see the Prodigy trailer? Yes, I did see the Prodigy trailer. Prodigy trailer was okay. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. I'm still, honestly, with Prodigy, it doesn't look horrible to me, but it doesn't look like Star Trek to me. That's the big problem for me. Prodigy, as a show, it just it just looks like generic sci-fi show number 17, and the ship just happens to look like a Star Trek ship. That's the ship. The I can't remember what it's called, but the ship itself is pretty cool. I gotta say, I like the actual ship, but the show to me looks nothing like a Star Trek show. So that's all for me. I mean, the Prodigy, that we'll see if they can pull it off. But to me, it just is gonna feel like, yeah, this is very, very generic sci-fi. And it's not a diss on Kate Mulgrew or anything like that. It's just that's not Star Trek. Having a bunch of random kids, running around on zany adventures in space, that's not freaking Star Trek. And sorry, but Alex Kurtzman and the rest of you guys, I don't know what you're thinking, but you're not thinking about Star Trek. I don't know what else to say. And that's not meant to be a slight against you guys directly. I it's nothing personal. I just don't understand what you guys are thinking this is supposed to be. So that's as far as Prodigy, that's all I can get out of it. Is I don't understand. I don't understand what Prodigy. Who is Prodigy supposed to appeal to? I have no idea. Now, and I mean, because I'm assuming that this is supposed to be the show that's gonna appeal to kids, to bring kids into the Star Trek fold, but I don't know how that's gonna happen. We'll see. Anyway. And by the way, the link to the StreamYard link is pinned at the top here. However, my standard house rules apply. If I don't know who you are, sorry, but I'm not going to let you on because of some of the trolls that have done some very inappropriate things. Sorry, but few bad people ruin it for everybody else. If I do know you, please join us on the conversation. And I'd love to talk to you about what you thought of some of this stuff, because I am very curious to see what you guys think of some of this stuff, because it's not all bad. I'm certainly not going to be all doom and gloom today after Star Trek Day, but I'm curious to see how some of you guys feel about this stuff. I will tell you straight up that my opinion of Strange New Worlds is not a negative one. And I know that some people might find that as something of a shock. But I am actually quite looking forward to Strange New Worlds after the trailer. Or, well, cast release. The only thing, watching the Strange New Worlds cast thing, I will tell you, there's two things in there that were like, eh, and I will tell that is number one, token now apparently required LGBT representation, and I'm sorry, but that's just getting a little tired at this point. And it's not a matter of being anti-LGBT. I'm not. It's a matter of it's now becoming over representation. And is over representation a healthy thing? And I think that's a genuine question to ask at this point, because we want justice and we want everything to be fair and we want and all that good stuff, and everybody screams that we want that Star Trek is about diversity, but it can't be about diversity if we are overcompensating, and that seems to be what we're doing. Because I'm sorry, but if you pick a group of people, a random group of 4 or 5 people, you're not going to always have people that fit into those categories. And Thomas, Thomas, I could punch you right now for saying that. We'll get into that in a second. Oh man, I tell you, the most triggered I've been in I don't even know how long was with those horrifically bad announcers that Viacom CBS paid money to have host this event. Mandy and Bambi or whoever they were, sitting there, who actually say during the thing that they never watched. That this is after the Star Trek Discovery panel of all things. They say, "Oh, I've never watched this show, but boy, did that resonate with me." Oh man, I was so angry. I was just fuming at that. Because it's like, how are you going to be, I understand, I'm sure that the fact that they're both standing there with their iPhone 12s that was part of the gimmick, right? That I'm sure that Apple probably sponsored that and all that. So I get that, but that part of it, the fact that they said straight up that they had never watched Discovery. I mean, wow. They literally have never seen the show, and they're hosting the gala event for that show. I mean, I understand if they're not like hardcore, like answer trivia kind of fans, but at least have a passing knowledge. That's like, oh, wow. I was really floored by that. And not, it's one, and then to have the lack of professionalism to actually state that you've never seen it. I mean, wow. Just wow. Whoops. Anyway, so yeah, to say the least, I was taken aback quite a bit by that. I was definitely not expecting them to have people with that. I mean, I understand that they're not going to have a couple of sweaties out there, right? Although, I mean, honestly, they did have one of the two was obviously there so that you could say no shaming of certain body types, right? Which, because that's a thing now. You can't have two, like if you're going to have female hosts, you can't have them all be young, attractive-looking women.
Resonate Trekker $1. You playing Minecraft really resonates with me. You putting dirt down is very resonating, but not as resonating as cobblestone.
Thomas, I'm gonna hurt you, buddy. I'm gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna let you know, the pain is coming. Oh man, that was, yeah. You think resonate's gonna get me? It's not. I'll tell you. Yes, you can trigger me with the word resonate right now, but it's is it gonna get me as bad as Gene Roddenberry's Vision? Probably not. Wow, really? Nobody's gonna come up and talk to me. Really? You're just gonna leave me hanging. All right, I see how you guys are. Bunch of jerks. Are we getting an old school? No, I'm not quite at that level today. So let me talk a little bit about the Strange New Worlds casting. I know that I'm sure that a lot of people are very upset about the Strange New World casting. But aside from the token, and that's what I'm going to call it at this point, because she is, ensign or lieutenant or whatever, because I don't think they actually said the character's rank. But outside of Ortega, I don't, Token Ortega is I'm going to call her. Outside of her, and I see John DeMarco is backstage. Thank you, John. I'm glad that somebody cares enough about me to not leave me feeling abandoned. Hey, John.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Oops, and I just closed the chat like an idiot. Anyway, so I was going to say, and you tell me if you think if this makes sense to you. I think outside of Ortega being a token character, which I'm getting a little tired of, and the big fat question mark of having Leen Noonien Singh as a character. Because I mean, obviously, they didn't give us any information other than the name, and obviously, we're all going, wait a minute, Leen Noonien Singh for real? I mean, that is Khan's name, so is this Khan's great-granddaughter or what?
Did you see Bird's video he released about that?
I haven't. I watched most of it. I didn't get through the whole thing because I was running errands earlier. But I saw that he was going on a little bit of a tirade about the fact that Uhura and Spock were both on the ship. And they didn't bother to notice that, hey, Khan's granddaughter was here a few years back. Which is true. I mean, you'd think, remember when they were in the magic meeting room looking at pictures of Khan and talking to Spock about it, and Spock was like trying to figure out how they could admire him, and it's like, yeah, don't you remember you worked with his daughter or granddaughter or whatever?
Yeah, I thought Bird was about to have a stroke by the time they got into that rant.
Oh man, well, I'll tell you, I'm not at rant level anger or anything right now because we don't know the backstory. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think that getting straight, and I know I don't know for a fact because I haven't seen anything yet. I'm sure that a lot of the fandom menace are probably pulling their hair out right now about the insanity of how canon is destroyed forevermore because Khan's great-granddaughter or whatever is in the show. Now, but that's a huge assumption. We don't actually know. We don't know the backstory of this character. It could be purely coincidental because, while Noonien Singh is not a particularly common name, I'm sure there are more than one person with that name. in the course of human history. And just like, could you imagine having the last name that happens to be the same as the leader of the German Party of the 1940s after the 1940s?
Yeah.
So because everybody would just assume that you're related to that person. So I'm not gonna, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna hold back on my anger until we find out what her story is. But I will tell you that I'm not saying that I'm not gonna be angry because if it does turn out that she is literally Khan's great granddaughter, like something that direct, then yeah, I'm gonna burst a couple of blood vessels. I mean, how do you feel about it?
I mean, it looked well, it's not really a trailer, but it looked interesting what they've shown so far. I mean, I'm not at the anger level yet.
Yeah.
We'll see what they do when the show actually starts.
Right. Like I actually really liked the idea of Dr. Mbanga being on the show. I thought, now that's a cool callback because there's a character that we never really got to see developed. We've only seen him appear twice. We know that he is one of the very few experts on Vulcan physiology, and it would make sense that he'd be serving on the only starship that had a Vulcan.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. I'm down with seeing, this could be, like, we could see why does Mbanga have this level of knowledge, and it's probably by studying Spock, because obviously he had to learn to be an expert on Vulcan somehow. And go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, that means also that he's not going to be the chief medical officer, because it would seem odd if he was, but then McCoy jumped over him later.
Yeah, well, we don't know. It could be, yeah, or maybe he screws something up.
That's true.
Although, yeah, we don't know, or maybe, there could be a million explanations to, either he's not the chief medical officer, he's just, he could be a brand new doctor who just graduated med school. Because he wasn't particularly old in TOS.
Right.
So I'm not particular, and I didn't think about that. My first thought was Mbanga's the senior medical or the chief medical officer, but yeah, they didn't say. They just said Dr. Mbanga. So I'm perfectly okay with him just being a doctor. Now, Nurse Chapel, I'm really kind of meh on that.
I thought it was ironic they only had to bring in both Chapel and Number One in the same show.
Yeah. And I saw that here's what I see with the Chapel thing, and I don't like, this is where the cynic in me kind of is going to come out a little bit, is that while I hope this isn't the case, and honestly it's not going to reflect on whether the show is any good, but the cynic in me is that, okay, they're doing it so that they can pad out the number of girls to guy ratio.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, they're doing it so that they brought in Uhura and Chapel because they're legacy female characters. And that way, because notice that Pike and Spock are the only white male characters on the show.
Yes, I did notice that.
And Pike, Spock, and Mbanga are the only male characters.
Well, there was also that Andorian.
Oh yeah, and which I did, by the way. And this is something Bird did not catch, but did you notice the Andorian is actually that sub race of Andorians?
Yeah, they're called the Anar.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw this, but I looked up the actor. The actor that's playing him is actually blind.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the actor, he had cancer in his eyes. He's completely blind in one eye and has severely reduced vision in the other. and so the actor is actually legally blind, and so that adds a little air of authenticity to it. And it's funny because people always say, hey, have a disabled person play a disabled person for once, and they're doing it. So
Yep.
I'll give them credit where credit is due. They're having a blind guy play the blind guy. And Mr. Captain asked if they'd rather have Janice Rand. No, I'm saying honestly, I don't need the while I think it's kind of cool bringing in Dr. Mbanga, I honestly would rather see mostly new characters. I don't see the need for bringing in a bunch of characters that we've seen before, particularly characters that we've had flushed out like Uhura. I don't get me wrong, like the girl that they have to play Uhura, she's not hard to look at or anything. Same with the girl that they're gonna have play Nurse Chapel. It's not, but I don't need that, I don't, and I'm not like dying to see more of Nurse Chapel and Uhura. And those characters are just not something that I've been like, ooh, yeah, that's what we need more of in Shrek. It's like, what we haven't had? Uhura. Because, we didn't get tons of Uhura in the J.J. Abrams films.
Yeah.
And we didn't get, it's just, we're getting overkill on Uhura. Why do we keep getting Uhura put into everything? And I mean, the answer is simple. Uhura was a civil rights icon for good reason in her day, but now it's like they're kind of overplaying it. They're saying, hey, remember the fact that Uhura was one of the first black characters that wasn't a servant or anything like that, that she was an officer and she did, and yeah, that was great, but you know what, stop reminding me of that.
And Bird's making a good point in the chat. They have all these legacy characters, so nothing. These characters can't die.
Right. That's
we all know they have to come back.
That is another problem. Is that before, up until this point, well, we knew Pike will eventually end up in the wheelchair. Which, by the way, did you catch the Pike wheelchair in Lower Decks today?
I laughed about that.
Yeah, but Pike will end up in the wheelchair eventually. Number one, we don't know. Because we don't know we don't know what happened to her. Spock is really invincible, right? Because because we know what happens to him. But yeah, now we have three more invincible characters. Because Mbanga, Chapel, and Uhura are all in the original series, so they are all invincible characters. And thank you so much, Joseph,
from the future. My name is not Singh.
And I know your name is not Singh. And by the way, the link is up at the top. Bird, if you want to join us, or Yosef, the link is there. And I know Bird, you busted a couple of blood vessels today already, but so I that is a fair point. That's prequelitis is strong with this by bringing in all these legacy characters, and I would be just fine with an all new cast. I just don't understand. I don't I do understand part of why they're doing it. They're doing it for member berry's sake, but I think that was a mistake. I think that honestly, the show Anson Mount's performance as Pike in Discovery was strong enough on its own to drive interest in this show. I don't think they needed to add more legacy characters, and I think that shows that the network was really unsure, that they're afraid that doing a classic style Trek, they're afraid of doing it. They don't think that it can sell.
Well, I saw that on Discovery. The only two characters that most people liked were the two legacy characters.
Right.
So let's make a show with a bunch of more legacy characters. Maybe people will like that.
Right. And hey, Yosef, how you doing, buddy?
And greetings from the future. All good. I read in the chat that I should tell you that the trailer resonated with me. I don't know what happened. Why am I supposed to say that?
You know exactly why that.
No. Really, I don't.
You forgot? Or did you not watch it? Did you not watch the Star Trek Day stuff?
No, I didn't because obviously not available in Europe.
Really? You couldn't watch? Okay. So this was really annoying. So one of the worst things about the whole Star Trek Day presentation was the presenters. They hired these two very young women, and calling them women is being very generous, but I will be generous. And they were standing there the whole time holding their iPhones and like going, "Oh my God, this is so cool!" You know, it was like they were literally just bimbos. And not only that, they knew nothing about Trek, and I'm not saying that to be a jerk, you know, like how Phantom Menace people are always like, oh, Kurtzman knows nothing about Trek, right? No, I'm not saying that to be a jerk. They actually said, and this is where this is coming from. After the Star Trek Discovery panel, the girl actually said, "Oh, wow, I have never seen the show, but that totally resonated with me." And so,
oh Jesus,
yes.
so we have basically right now a trigger word. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a new trigger for me because I was so angry. I was screaming at the panel because I was so livid at the fact that they actually hired these girls that have never seen Star Trek to host a Star Trek gala event, and then to have the unprofessional nerve to actually state that they've never seen Star Trek.
And was it even a live? Was it live event or was it like pre-recorded?
No, this was a live event.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, yeah, you could tell there were some moments that you could tell made some people uncomfortable because of the way they were trying to get the edgy young people. Because like when they brought in the two newer cast members for Discovery, I can't remember that. Blue is one of them, and
Blue and Adira.
Yeah. But they bring in those two. And
Isn't it? Is it? No. Blue de Barrio is the name. Gray is the name of the character.
Right.
Gray is the name of the character, and yeah.
But
Gray and Adira, yeah.
Right. But so they bring in those two actors, and they're sitting there talking to Will Wheaton on the panel, and one of them drops the S bomb in the panel. Mm-hmm. And Will Wheaton, because that, and granted, I know it's not like the worst word in the world you could say, right? It's just the S word, the word for fecal matter.
Yeah.
But it's very unprofessional to do that at a Comic-Con type event. You don't swear. And so, and you could tell, like, Will Wheaton just started with this very uncomfortable laughter, as he was trying to laugh at what she was saying as if it was funny, but you could tell he was just like very, very nervous about what was going on and where was this going to go.
If I should have a mission in my life, it would be making Will Wheaton uncomfortable.
Well, he was definitely uncomfortable. You would have been happy about that. And I mean, because honestly, and I will take some credit for the fact that I'm sure Will Wheaton never noticed, but I was very proud of the fact that I got many people to put "Shut Up, Wesley" in the official Paramount chat every time Will Wheaton came on. So,
that was great.
I'm gonna take some credit there. I thought that was awesome. So I thought that was fun. But honestly, the Strange New World. Okay, so and I know Donnie mentioned this earlier. I think the new uniforms. I'm sorry, Bird. I think the new uniforms look nice. They're big improvement over the
I
uniform.
like those because they have the feeling of the Cage uniforms.
Right. They look
Despite
like
despite the Cage uniforms were basically subpar material and everything, basically it looked like taken from just something like a sweater from a wreck, you know.
Right.
But they looked good to me.
I like them.
I don't know.
So
Yeah.
I like the new uniforms. I think they're a big improvement. I overall I thought the cast was looked solid, except I wasn't a big fan of the fact that the one character was obviously a token. I'm tired of look
You mean which one?
Ortega.
Uh,
That's the character name. I don't remember the actor's name.
You mean the girl or?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
obviously there to satisfy the LGBTQ community, and and honestly, it's look, I get it, represent all that crap, but not every group has to have a woman who is obviously a lesbian. It doesn't have to. We don't have to do that in every group of people now. That's not necessary.
You know what? But it's not only Star Trek doing it. It's basically every single show.
I know,
So
and it's annoying.
And
no, Thomas Ortega does not resonate with me. That's
I think the uniforms do.
I don't mind it. You know what? I don't mind it if they don't overplay it because honestly,
but the problem is they are overplaying it. That's my problem.
I mean within the show, if they put the character, yeah. This is my problem generally is, and this is there is one YouTuber, Jessie Gender. You probably heard about her because
I've talked to
you
her.
know Jessie Gender. Okay, so and she is doing many videos since she is basically a transsexual person.
Right. And to her, everything is a gender issue.
Yeah, exactly, and this is something that even I commented even in one of her videos that honestly, really not everything has to be about gender, but I understand her position. Mm-hmm. And when I'm watching her videos that are not Star Trek related, when she's talking about her experiences in life, and I completely understand that they are not easy because she is somebody who triggers many people who because she is different than the majority. I totally understand it, but not for the shows. And this is one of the things basically when we if I could go back a little bit to Discovery, when they introduced Gray and when they introduced Adira as characters. Honestly, I don't care about Gray because as a Trill character, he doesn't work for me because Trills. We know that they should be in their mid-20s or older, just to realize if they want to get a symbiont, if they want to be basically merged with different.
She's too old. Or too young.
And this doesn't work as well. What didn't work for me as a concept was basically this Romeo and Juliet love story that they created, because it was basically Romeo and Juliet. Only Juliet didn't die in this scenario. Right. When you think about it, because Romeo and Juliet were she was 13, he was 16 in the play. Just to put it out there, right. And I don't and I understand that they want to play that they want to have characters that are attractive for a younger audience, like we had Wesley or we had Jake Sisko, right? Basically teenagers having teenagers on a show, but the love story didn't work for me because teenage love stories are not for life unless you do the Romeo and Juliet scenario, yeah, where the life ends basically within 3 days. And this is what didn't resonate, because if they made the story with characters that were, let's say, 25, I am not. We don't even have to go like older, so it's relatively still close to the age of let's say teenagers or people who are in their late teens, where they can rely to those characters. But it didn't work for me at all.
Well, I think that all right, you can live. You got a kid. I think now I'll say this for the Gray Adira storyline. You know, the funny thing about that one is, in a similar way as the Brie Larson nonsense with the MCU, that was poisoned by the people behind the scenes more than the story itself. Because,
probably more, yeah, exactly.
Because for me, when that show, when they started touting the fact that, oh, we've got the first ever non-binary and transgender characters coming to Star Trek, and of course, what did everybody, including myself, do? We start posting all sorts of videos showing all the various transgender and non-binary characters that have been in Star Trek over the decades, and saying, what are you talking about?
Because the problem is because that was the typical Hollywood virtue signaling,
right?
Because it's not about the characters being
well, that's
different sexuality. It's the actors being different sexuality.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is because neither Gray nor Adira are transgender or non-binary. Because in the well, I mean, you could argue that a Trill...
Adira outed herself as non-binary.
Well, that's true. Adira did. Finally, she said, "Oh, well, I kind of never saw myself as a she."
But once again, we're using the wrong pronouns. Just
yeah. Which I'm sorry that still just rubs me the wrong way. But you know, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't, and so that doesn't resonate with me. Hey, Bird, how you doing?
There's no such thing as right and wrong pronouns. There's just pronouns.
Yes, there is.
There
absolutely is such a thing as right and wrong pronouns.
The funniest thing is that when you take the pronoun they, as it is used in the English language right now for people who don't want to be associated with either him or her. The funniest thing is that, for example, in Slavic languages, including Slovak, the pronoun they is gendered. We have two forms, so you cannot even.
So what you're saying is the Slavics are a bunch of transphobics.
No, I'm saying that the languages are all
saying they to a group of that was both men and women.
Then the male form is taken. If it's a mixed group, it's the
like
form.
The male form is the one you'd use.
Probably yes, but still, it is something where even if you go the route that you ask for the pronoun, you end up with having two pronouns available. You know, so this is once again a little bit more difficult for certain languages, but. Okay, I don't mind it. You know what was for me the biggest problem? How with having a transgender character on the show, how badly they did it.
Right.
And the explanation why I say how badly they did it is because what they did. They first of all, the main idea is we want to make it normal, like something that is common and that is something which is a part of humanity. And I completely understand it because this is the Star Trek way how to do it. But what they completely messed up is they basically created a group of non-heterosexual characters interacting with each other. And when you look at what happened,
And
it's
they're all-
basically
and they all
Stamets and Culber being the ones who are dealing 95% with Adira.
Right.
You know, so it is basically they are separating them.
Right.
Actually, something that they didn't want to do, they are doing it in the show. And I was like, I'm sorry, but this is not the progressive way. This is exactly not the way how to do it.
Right. They're being basically separatists.
Yeah,
And-
they are not they are not they are not doing an inclusion. They are actually doing the exact opposite in the show.
Right.
And I was like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, it makes no sense. I agree. I think that
And I can tell you one thing. I know that you have you had it in your reviews that Adira is a Mary Sue character. You may at least this is how you characterized it in one of your reviews. But I actually like her character. I like her. She is a little bit snarky, and since she has the symbiote,
she's more likable than Michael Burnham. I'll give you that.
Oh man! Yeah. Okay, that bar is then set too low, yeah. for that one, because
well,
Michael Burnham is.
I'm trying to give you a concession here.
Yeah. I understand it because Michael Burnham had actually, in the whole third season, she had one good scene that lasted for about 25 seconds, where I said, okay, this is the Michael Burnham how I want to have her on the show as a character. And that was the show. I think it was the third episode when they went to the ship that was holding the plants that could save the other race that was lying in the infirmary of the star base, or at the fleet, where basically they got rid of their security chief, the Barzan. And then Michael Burnham took over from Saru because Saru was supposed to stay with the Starfleet, and Michael Burnham took the command of Discovery. And then on the bridge of the Discovery, she had a really good scene. And this is the Michael Burnham how she's supposed to be as a leader. But the problem is, I still have the problem that Michael Burnham is constantly whispering, constantly crying, and this is not the captain that I want to have on a ship, sitting in a captain's chair, whispering commands and crying because something that didn't work out.
Well, I think that's just your frat boy tendencies coming out again.
Your comment didn't resonate with me.
Yeah, what are they going to do when things just don't resonate? They'll have to they're going to remodulate the resonance.
Yeah. And sorry for taking over and blubbering so long.
No, that's all right. I think that, as far as the Strange New World stuff, so what do you think of? Do you know about the Khan thing?
I watched Bird's review, and actually, Bird, I watched it twice, and I wrote it in a comment, and you liked it, so we know. I watched it twice because it was such a meltdown that when I watched it the first time,
Bird,
I was you know what? I was laughing here so hard. I was literally, there were tears running down my cheeks, how hard I was laughing. So I watched it again just to understand everything Bird was saying, because the first time I literally my belly muscles hurt like 10 minutes after I watched the video.
Hey, when Bird
so
gets
Bird,
going,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much again for the video.
Yeah.
I gotta say, when Bird gets into a good Bird rant, there's very few things in this world that are more entertaining.
And you know what? And Bird's review was the first one where I actually heard about the new characters. So it was for me literally news. Like you were watching the panels, so it wasn't news for you. But for me, it was like really hearing the information for the first time, and when Bert started talking about the character, and then basically he went into it, and I don't know how. Bert, was it like completely genuine reaction that was graduating in you, like?
Yeah, no, it was a genuine reaction. I mean, I had watched it once, but I didn't process, what it really meant until I started talking about it.
Yeah, you vocalized basically everything that came. Yeah, and that was so hilarious. I can tell you, you made my day. You made my day today. Thank
I'm
you,
glad.
thank you, thank you.
I mean, the Lower Decks has also came out, but it came out later.
I didn't watch that one. I have it queued up.
It's a decent. It's a good Lower Decks. I
liked it.
Yeah. And fortunately, I'll say this for the Lower Decks, it was back to normal form for them, so we did not have more Mugatu masturbation scenes or anything like that. So I think that was a one-off kind of thing, no pun intended.
Yeah, I thought there were actually some good character moments in that last episode.
Yeah. So I think that, I think they kind of just tried to push the envelope to see how far they could go. And I think they took it a little too far, but hopefully we don't see them go that far again. At least that's my opinion on it. I know some people.
You know what? It's basically, but you could have I don't know, similar problems. Let's say with the Orville when Rob Lowe's character came again on.
Like when they with the blue stuff shooting
with the blue stuff and basically him pounding everybody who came in his way. So yeah.
And shows like to do that because pushing the envelope is part of what comedy does, right?
Yeah.
And the problem with it is sometimes it can be hilarious, but sometimes, and I think that the big difference between Orville and with Lower Decks is, to me, Lower Decks blurs the line as far as who is the appropriate audience for this show.
I think I heard somewhere. Oh, there was a trailer for basically a Star Trek trailer that was probably released that I could watch, where they mentioned all the 5 shows that are currently running, and I think they mentioned something like Lower Decks is for teenagers.
Right, and I'm sorry, but a show for teenagers does not feature a character literally masturbating on screen. That's not a teenager show. That's an adult show.
If they did it, if it was a human character or humanoid character, I would give it to you. But this is basically I said it, I think, yesterday in your stream that I was literally expecting something like David Attenborough narration.
Well, I understand, but
to that scene, because it was basically like, animals.
I get what you're saying, but it wasn't. I mean, the Mugatu kind of looked like apes. They were displaying behavior that was clearly meant to look more human, and because the behavior was like when they were waving at each other like a person would. And they were making hand gestures like a person would, and so it was. They were definitely anthropomorphized.
If you watch the documentary on big apes, they have very.
Yes, but this was not a documentary about big apes.
This was
a comedic show.
I'm trying to play an opposition here to you.
I know, but you're not going to convince me that this was appropriate.
No, I'm sure I'm not going to convince you. I'm just trying to put a different perspective on it.
If it was rated for adults, I could understand. But if the target audience of this show is teenagers, which I think is the target audience of this show, if the target audience for this show is teenagers, and granted, I know that a lot of teenagers would find it funny, but I don't think that it's appropriate. I think most parents of teenagers would say, "You showed that to my kid? Hell no."
Parents would say that, but Secret Life of Teenagers,
it doesn't matter what Secret Lives of your teenagers is. What matters is if your parents. That's the whole.
If you are normalizing it, I get it. If you are normalizing this type of behavior, then yes,
because you want to say, hey, kids are going to look at porn, so you might as well just show porn to kids.
Yeah,
I mean,
Jesus, I can't even say it because there's a horrible joke, but I cannot say it on a stream.
Mercer create $1.
And
is the
especially
new
not on your channel.
SNW Union Singh character actually
You're
related to Khan or a homage to the characters June had with that name?
Mercer is asking.
The God S2 trailer underwhelmed me.
And Mercer was asking if the Khan character is a relation to Khan or a new character that just happens to have the same name. We don't know. That's the problem. We just know the name. That's all that they've revealed.
You can't make that name up. Okay?
Well,
if that name, if they have no relation to Khan, that's an even worse writing mistake than making them related to Khan.
You absolutely can't. That, just like you could have another, just like the last name. There is an actual, in the United States Navy today, a Captain James Kirk. That's a true story. He commands a destroyer, if I remember correctly.
I can tell you one thing. I have a colleague in France. His name is Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah, so.
Literally, Jean-Luc Picard, and you know where he is working? What department? Enterprise support.
Oh, that's funny.
And this is the most. And you know what? He even did at one point. He, like you can have on Outlook and on Skype, you can have your picture. We can upload on a corporate directory our pictures so people know who we are, and he literally uploaded a picture of Jean-Luc Picard at one point. Then he was probably told to take it down. Yeah.
Anyway, at this point, Mercer, we don't know. It's not that they have, and granted, it would seem like one heck of a coincidence.
She's Asian, right? The actress.
The actress, her last name is Chong, I believe.
Yes.
But so based on the last name, I would guess that she is of Chinese descent. But
where Khan Noonien Singh was a Sikh.
Yeah, he was supposedly Northern Indian, but which is hilarious. But that's a whole other thing because I did a thing on that where you could not. You could her assumption that he was a Sikh because he was from Northern India was absolutely laughable, because while it's true that most Sikhs are Northern Indians, most Northern Indians are not Sikhs.
Are not Sikhs. Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, but to the point on the Lower Decks fiasco, as far as the scene with Mugatu, it's the problem there is that, and I understand that standards are a little different with this kind of thing and with different cultures, but for most, at least in the United States, most people believe it's up to the parents to make the decision as to whether that's appropriate. And the parents can't make that choice if we're just saying, oh, this is blanket appropriate for kids. And so we're going to put this on, because the problem is that, parents, we're in a world right now where both parents are working, where we have to rely on things like digital systems to try and do net nanny type stuff. So we say, okay, we're going to set it so that they can watch things that are rated T for teen, because, we're going to trust those systems to keep things relatively appropriate. That's what we have to do in the modern digital age. And if we can't trust those systems to be appropriate,
Mercer create $1.
we end
Data's
up with
creator
this.
had the same name.
Whenever there's something
to call out an old friend.
And no,
Maybe they're
and
doing it as
Mercer
a
put in
homage.
another $1
Stuart
asking
is too
about
old.
Sung. as opposed to Singh. And I think it's spelt like Khan's name. It is Noonien Singh specifically. It is Khan's name that we see in her name. And in fact, her first name is like Nan. Like it's actually very, very reminiscent of Khan. So I mean, I think there is no way she's not related to Khan, unless
they definitely will make a relation. You know what? It would be what would be great if she was a real bitch.
I think they're gonna make her like what's the name of the super strong chick from Orville, the security chick.
Tala.
Yeah, I think they're going to do that. They're going to just make her super strong, and she'll be like a security guard or something, just so they can do an Orville thing. So she's the great granddaughter of an augment, and it's like, but the problem is, okay, so you're going to just completely break canon because everybody was shocked that Khan is stronger than average.
Yeah. By the way, why didn't they? Why do we have the doctor from TOS and not what was his name, the doctor that we had in the cage, the older guy?
Well, because member berries. I mean, that's that. I mean, honestly, now look, I like the idea of bringing in Mbanga because he's a character that has, he only appeared in 2 episodes, and I like the idea of developing him. When I thought about it, at first I liked the idea of Uhura, but then thinking about it, I'm like, Uhura's gotten too much play.
I heard you before I joined the panel, where you said it that she was basically then very important in the 60s, but
yeah, I think we've seen her a little more than we need to see her at this point.
Yeah,
and like Mbanga, I think okay, we could develop him, but yeah, I think that was it Dr. Piper, or was it a different doctor in the cage? I'm trying to remember.
Dr. Boyce was in the cage.
Dr. Boyce,
yeah.
Dr. Boyce.
So
yeah.
I would say, make Mbanga like a new assistant, and make Boyce the chief medical officer.
And there is only one actor that everybody wanted to play Dr. Boyce, and
that would be Bird of Prey.
No.
No.
I would love to see Bird of Prey play Doc. Could you just see him like rolling in on his bed with a bar attached to the bed, just pouring drinks everywhere he goes? I would love to see that. Sorry.
No, Jeffrey Combs. Jeffrey Combs was the general wishful.
I think Jeffrey
thinking.
Combs is going to show up somewhere. I do think
he is going to be on I think lower decks.
Yeah, but I think he's going to show up in Strange New Worlds, especially since they name dropped him during the Star Trek Day.
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They just kind of hinted. Oh yeah, and we had lots of Jeffrey Combs in Enterprise. They mentioned him like in a coy way a couple of times through the proceedings.
It would be just fantastic because him being Dr. Boyce would be the perfect casting.
I think that would be cool. I think having Dr. Boyce as the chief medical officer would be good, and then Mbanga could be his assistant, and that way we could develop Mbanga, but also have Boyce and make Boyce a raving alcoholic or whatever. I mean,
whatever. Yeah, exactly.
And that way you can have a flawed white male character. Hey, there you go.
Yeah. Because is there any other white male character in the show besides
just Pike? I mean, Spock if you count him, but he's an alien.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, Pike is the only white male character right now. And I'm not trying to keep count of how many white males, but they need to stop counting how many white males as well. That's the problem.
As I mentioned yesterday on your stream, that's the problem with Discovery, that you don't have one. Not
Right.
even a single one right now.
Right, and it's like I was talking to my wife about it before. It's like the problem is we have 2 extremes. We have people that scream and yell because not enough white men, and then you have people that scream and yell because
Didn't you have enough white men in the past? This
Right.
was a Twitter. This was a Twitter feud that I had with
and like,
one We Are Starfleet.
well, one of the I think
idiot.
it was actually Jesse Gender, I think, in the chat for Paramount Plus during the event, right before they started the Strange New Worlds panel. Jesse Gender came on and says, "Don't worry, guys, your show that's going to feature a straight white man is coming up." And it's like,
I sometimes tease Jessie because I like her. I like her, and I
but
understand many of her points. But this is pure provocation.
Right. That kind of thing is just, first of all, it's one. The only reason, and I really believe this, I think the only reason Strange New World is featuring a straight white man is because they couldn't figure out a way to make Pike black. That's.
What did you think of the orchestra? I liked it. Thumbs up.
And as Arabic throws in a couple of bucks, asks, what did I think of the orchestra? I liked it to a point. I will tell you, I got mad during the and okay, here comes I did rant about this a little bit, and I'm going to get a little mad. Some people will not understand this, but this is where I could see honestly some politics in a very subtle way that just pissed me off. And that is, at the beginning of the event, they played a beautiful medley of a bunch of Star Trek music, right? Just this is, and typical orchestral music where they string together a bunch of familiar tunes, and you're just losing yourself in the flow of all these classic themes, and absolutely loving it. Unless you pay attention to it, you think, wow, this is great. I'm hearing all these wonderful Star Trek themes. And then you stop and realize they spent all of about 30 seconds on the original series cast. They spent about 30 seconds playing a little bit of music from Star Trek II. Then they played the entire suite from Star Trek 2009. They played the entire suite from Star Trek First Contact. They played the entire theme to Star Trek Discovery. They played the entire theme to Star Trek Picard. And I was like, wait, why did they only play 30 seconds of Wrath of Khan?
Wrath of Khan really didn't resonate with them.
I guess not. I'll tell you, that pissed me off. I was so angry because it's like Wrath of Khan to me is some of the best music in Trek history, and they played 30 seconds of it. It was barely, it was like right when I was getting into, oh yeah, Wrath of Khan theme, and it's over. And I was like, what happened? Why? And then we listen, and I'm like, okay, so they're just going to play a few seconds of everything. And then, like, when we're 4 minutes into the J.J. Abrams 2009 theme, I'm like, wait, why did we only get 30 seconds of Wrath of Khan? It made no sense to me. And
I can tell you there is probably the reason because Michael Giacchino is composing the music for Strange New Worlds. He's doing the music score.
So? What does that have to do with it?
They are promoting him. They are promoting him right now.
Well, then who? So what? James Horner wrote some beautiful music for Wrath of Khan. That music still belongs to Viacom CBS. They absolutely have the right to play it. And it's like, come on. It is a beautiful suite of music. They need to play it. It's a classic Star Trek theme. And I understand that you want to promote the new stuff. That's why you finish with the new stuff. But you know what? And the honest truth is that the suite to Wrath of Khan is better than any of the other suites that they played. And
I'm in my eyes, the best soundtrack is Wrath of Khan is actually in fourth place for me. Because
they did play some of Star Trek 4 as well, but only about a minute of it.
Mm-hmm. That's the least Star Trek. That's the least Star Trek soundtrack of them all, I think.
Star Trek 4.
Yes,
I agree. Star Trek 4 didn't sound like Star Trek to me. It sounded like Christmas.
Yes. Very, very cheerful team. And to me, Jerry Goldsmith is the golden standard for soundtracks, and especially after the motion picture. And the motion picture, to me, 90% of my enjoyment of the movie is actually the soundtrack.
Yeah, TMP is my favorite movie soundtrack as well from Star Trek.
I do love the TMP movie soundtrack, but and my problem with the TMP movie soundtrack is the fact that they kind of stole it for TNG. And so now when I hear the TMP theme, I can't help but think of TNG, and it makes me mad because
The thing is there is on YouTube you can find the rejected score for TMP. Sorry, for not for TNG.
Oh, yeah.
You can find the rejected score, and it's actually good. And basically, if you watch again Galaxy Quest, very reminiscent to that one.
Mhm.
And but once again, Jerry Goldsmith, big theme, beautiful music, and so on and so on. Really, really well. Not Jerry Goldsmith. Sorry. He was he wrote the guy who wrote the music for Generations.
I
Dennis
think
I'm
McCarthy.
blanking. Dennis McCarthy. Thank you.
Generations was kind of forgettable as far as the music, in my opinion. But I mean, for me, like I said, Wrath of Khan had one of those soundtracks that it felt so nautical, and that's what
and
really made it.
and so did as well the sixth movie, Undiscovered Country.
Right.
Had a very similar feeling, despite those were two different composers. But a very similar feeling. I think Nick very much influenced by Nicholas Myers.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's unfortunate that they didn't give them some love in that medley, but
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it was just because they're trying to emphasize Michael's work since he's their current go-to guy.
Yeah, that's the one. And basically, I understand if they play more of Picard and eventually, I am not sure, but I assume that they played as well Discovery theme.
Yeah,
Because
they played
those
the
are.
entire Discovery theme.
But once again, those are music scores that are from the current shows that are on air right now.
Which I can understand that, but I still think if you're going to, because it wouldn't have bothered me except that they played the entire theme to Star Trek 2009. You know, if they had skipped Star Trek 2009 and or just played a few seconds of it, I would have been fine with it. You know, but the fact that they wanted to play the entirety of that score along with the
And did they include as well because Michael Giacchino obviously redid the original series theme and incorporated it into.
only the original series fanfare. They didn't do the full theme.
They didn't do full theme because I like the arrangement that Michael Giacchino did for the original series
No,
theme.
they only did the fanfare, the da 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 da, that But
Yeah. The Courage team, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was very disappointed by that just because
Yeah.
I wanted, if you're gonna do a medley, do it right, and especially since they were running late all night anyway, you might as well take the time to do it right. But hey, what do I know? But yeah, and Thomas, I think you're right. They did ignore classic Trek for the most part. Like the only person from classic Trek that they gave any attention to was George Takei. Gee, I wonder why. It was just, yeah. It was what it was. But on the bright side, Strange New Worlds looks like it could be a good show still.
Yeah, definitely.
Despite having Khan in it.
Oh.
Yeah. Which I still, it makes no sense whatsoever. But at least we'll get lots of great bird rants. That's what I think will be the big plus there.
You know what? I want Star Trek being great. I want Star Trek being great show, the greatest show in the world. But honestly, there are sometimes moments where I want it to suck just to listen to birds rants.
Now, and I saw Trek Reviewer
Gee,
put this in the
thanks,
chat.
Joseph.
Trek Reviewer put this in the chat earlier. I saw it, and I didn't get to reading it. Is that they did? I didn't catch that they did this, but apparently, I did see during the presentation they put Una, which is number one's name. They put her last name as Chin Riley, but I guess they removed the last name from Memory Alpha. Now, I don't know if that's true. I haven't looked on Memory Alpha.
It is in the video. I don't know if it's on Memory Alpha.
Yeah, if they did remove it from Memory Alpha, that really, Memory Alpha is a wiki, so that could just mean that somebody didn't see the video and doesn't realize that that's canon, or it could, it could mean a million things. I wouldn't take that to mean anything unless we get to the series itself, and that's not her name. Honestly.
Life with Matthew $1.
Oh, and Life with Matthew
Did I miss
donated
Star Wars
$1.
Day? Question, did Nomad resonate in the episode? I might start working on it sometime next year.
And Life with Matthew wants to know if he missed Star Wars Day. Yes, Life with Matthew, you did in fact miss Star Wars Day. And no, it didn't resonate with anybody. Jerk. I think that on Twitch you can set up banned words. I think I'm going to ban the word resonate from Twitch. Now, can you ask Josef what he thinks of Hungarian people?
I'm married to one.
So he hates them. He hates them.
Who is asking that?
Okay. Okay is the person's name. O space K.
O space K. I don't know why is okay asking that, but
maybe okay is your wife. Maybe your wife's sock account. Maybe remember how you left my my show yesterday to do your duty with her, and then you came right back 20 minutes later, wow, that was really rough. And after you finished taking care of her.
About chores she told me to do.
That's not what you said.
Yeah, it is. Go back to your stream and listen to it.
You didn't say I have to go do chores. You said you have to go do your duty for your wife.
Some duties that she prepared for me. Or she told me to do. Definitely, yeah, I don't consider...
When a wife gives you duties to do, there's only one duty that man has to do for his wife.
I don't consider...
Hey, look, Bird, it's
a romance with my wife a duty. I'm not sure how it is in your relationship, but to me, it is not a duty.
Well, obviously it is, considering you were back with a moist towelette in 20 minutes.
Hey, it was about 45 minutes.
So you even got the time down. You actually measured it. All right, so...
Yeah, and it was, and if you want to know exactly what I did, it was literally recycling, because today in the morning, they were the companies that are collecting, like glass, plastic, and paper came over. So I had to prepare everything and put it in front of the house. And since...
I thought you lived in a village.
Yeah, I called it village, but it's a small town of 5.5 thousand people.
Well,
yeah.
A village. You don't have a house, don't you? Live in like a hut.
It's a brick hut.
It's a brick hut.
of 3,000 square feet. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, because according to the chat, apparently you're not a real person.
I need to go to the chat. I need to check what's happening in the chat because this is.
I believe Slovakia is I believe Slovakia is an illegitimate state, and Slavics aren't real people, just a political tool made by bureaucrats for the winning powers to profit off the Hungarian people. Wow.
Ouch.
Dang. Well, that's
What?
Deep. I don't know. I don't know if that means anything. But if you're being
this could be very interesting discussion. But I'm not going into that.
Okay, yeah,
because
if
I can tell you so much that basically the Austrian-Hungarian monarchy and basically the history that is shared between Hungary and Slovakia is not nice in many situations. Even till mid 20th century there were certain conflicts. I can tell only so much. The conflicts are gone now. The conflicts
you don't have to tell me about your conflicts. And okay, hey, look, this is not I barely can keep up with American politics. I do not want to start getting into Slovakian
no.
politics.
This is a topic. Probably rather for something like History with an R&R channel.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But definitely, at least where I live in the area and the village where I live, or the town, 5,500 people. It's probably something you would call a small town, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's
well, unless you're in Illinois, in which case it's literally a metropolis. Because
just to understand, just to put it into perspective, the largest city here in Slovakia is the capital city of Bratislava, and the city has slightly over 500,000 people, and it's the largest city, so 500,000 people.
Okay, so well, that's respectable.
And the
size.
train is coming soon.
Jeez, bird. This is the problem with the American education system about geography and history.
Hey, hold on. Yes, do not confuse the American educational system with the Karogan educational system. I understand it's easy to confuse the two because Bird sounds like he's an American, but he's not.
Literally, the small town I live in, we are celebrating 800 years since it was officially named for the first time. 800 years.
What was it called back then? Transylvania? It
was a settlement before that, and it gained the status of basically a village at the time. 800 years ago this year, and to gain a status, basically to gain the status of a village, it had to be signed, I think, in Vienna. So officially, it had the first name was Latin, then it was and then it switched to Hungarian. And what I wanted to say that. People who are living in the village, it's about 50-50 Hungarian nationality and Slovak nationality. So it's a mixed. It's basically a very, very mixed environment. So yeah.
And what is the general Hungarian opinion of Karogans? Wow, it got quiet.
I'm just reading what OK is saying there. Not exactly, because basically around because around year 1000 the Huns, as they were called then, basically came over to this region and started occupying basically and the whole region and fought it. And yes, for basically since the 10th century to the till the end of First World War, it was part of the Austrian-Hungarian monarchy at the time. Yeah, that's that is correct.
Wow, so I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
And and okay, says he's Hungarian. Yeah, so okay, and looks like he doesn't like us Slovaks, but I don't mind. It's okay.
So Hungarians
And you know, and right now with basically living in the European Union and the borders being basically open, it's like who cares right now? You know, it's literally I can jump in my car and I can be within like 40 minutes either in Hungary or in Austria. So
well, all I'm going to ask though is that, like I said, okay, I understand that you and Joseph may have a lot of deep-seated political differences, but I don't know jack about them. I just know Joseph is a friend, and I consider you a friend. So I hope.
and
that,
I don't and honestly I don't care about the historical situation because, as I said, I'm my wife's grandmother spoke probably 70 words Slovak. You know, and she lived literally in the house next to ours. You know, and we had the best relationship, despite my Hungarian is extremely limited. Her Slovak was extremely limited. We could have conversations for hours, and it was the funniest thing how we communicated with each other. And my father-in-law is Hungarian nationality, Slovak citizenship, but Hungarian
Number
nationality.
15, make you choose. That's all.
My
Nothing
wife
else.
the same.
Bye.
I don't care.
and hey, Wesley, how you doing? So, Bird, can you do me a favor?
Bird's probably asleep.
Yeah, I think.
I'm here.
Can you do me a favor and say, I am Bird. I have a YouTube channel. I make YouTube go.
I am Bird. I have a YouTube channel. I make YouTube go.
There you go, Wes.
No,
There you go,
okay.
Wes.
That was literally less than $1 worth,
Yeah, I
and
know.
Wesley paid $2.
Well, you know, I tried, Wes.
I didn't know he paid money.
Yeah, he
You should
paid
have
money
told me. I
for
would have
that.
done better.
Well, I'm doing it.
Please, yeah. Repeat.
I am Bird. I have a YouTube channel. I make YouTube go.
So the difference was you added the word "a." That's what the
Oh,
accent.
I'm Ozzy O'Prey. Oh, I have a YouTube channel too.
There we go.
I
Now we're talking.
make the Crocs go.
So, I hear a TNG computer. So that's a sound we're never going to hear in Star Trek again, except for on lower decks, I guess.
Yeah, that's my phone.
Oh, okay.
You think because even on Discovery they use some of the sound clips from the original series.
Occasionally, but not.
Yeah, I know, not that many, and actually I would welcome it, and I hope they will introduce
Well, maybe
implement some
I
of
didn't
those.
think of it, and they might in the new show because
Yes,
because
because those sound clips are so iconic that I would really love to have them.
and they
And
have
not-
been kind of hinting that that Strange New Worlds is kind of a soft reboot,
Yeah.
which
Because
totally don't.
I can tell you that despite in many scenes, the sounds in TOS there were sometimes too many of them. Sometimes it was overdone, but still, when the episodes start and there is this twinkly sound,
Right.
and Kirk starts with his captain's log and everything. I love those sound clips, and I love it since my earliest childhood.
Well, it's funny because and I don't know what it is about the original series, and I'm sorry to all my friends out there that think that TNG is the best of Trek. You're just wrong. But but what is it about the sounds of the original Enterprise that are so iconic in comparison to other Trek? Because if you hear the bridge of the original Enterprise, every single sound, not just the blend of the sounds together, but each individual sound you can recognize.
Yes.
Like the sound of Spock's sensor, the sound of the bridge thing flashing up at the front of the screen, the sound of just the ambient sensors going, all those individual sounds going, and then the blend of all of that together just makes this perfect storm of sound effects for an ambient sound that it makes you feel like home. And
Yeah.
I don't understand why it works so well. I mean, any thoughts on why that is just so... Yes, Thomas, the TOS sounds resonate with me. They absolutely do. And hey, Jason, how you doing? You should join the chat, Jason, to have someone else that's sane around here.
Speaking of, I'm going to actually have to drop out at this point, but I appreciate you having me on.
I see how you are.
I can stop by later if you're still streaming.
All right.
Okay.
Sure.
Take care,
guys,
John.
later. Thanks.
Take care. I will drop out in something like 15 to 30 minutes. Because
you're always trying to run away.
No. But once again, it's quarter to 12, so it's almost midnight here.
First of all, no, it's not. It's 4:45.
Because you live in the past.
No, it's not. You live in the future, and that's not my fault. I always looked at this one as he looked away to the future, to the horizon, never his mind on where he was.
And I have in the chat another person who hates me because Itza says that he hates Slovaks with hot wives. And sorry, I'm not going to pour acid over my wife just to make you love me.
Wow. It was black and white with no sound.
Wow. And Wesley, thank you, says TOS had sound. It was black and white with no sound. No, TOS was a talkie. They did have sound. And for those of you that are too young to know, talkie is a slang term that we used to use in the old days for movies that had sound. I don't know, you may not have heard that, Joseph.
I read it here. I have the chat right now open, so I'm checking the chat. I see Captain Trek is here and Jason is here.
Jason is in the background there. There's Jason. Hey.
Taliban.
Hey, Jason.
Oh man, that's that. Yeah, you didn't hear that, Joseph. You're gonna love this, and thank you, Jason, for the clip.
No problem.
I have it now in my library that I'm gonna be using. You know my power of math clip that I used, right?
Yes.
So I have a new one that's even better. So remember, I told you about the bimbos that were hosting the event. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I am not making this up. I truly wish I was making this up. I don't want to be making this up. I truly wish I was lying about this more than anything else in the world. But this is how ignorant of Star Trek these girls were. So they were looking at these beautiful artifacts that they had from Trek on display at this gala Star Trek event for Star Trek, which they've never seen, of course. And they're looking at all this stuff and they're like, oh, wow, look at all this cool stuff. Here's these uniforms from this and this and this, right? And then they said, and here's the tunic that Riccardo Taliban wore as Khan.
No, they didn't say that.
They did.
Oh, yeah.
They actually said that. Riccardo Taliban.
They butchered Nichelle Nichols' character's name or her name actually.
Yeah, they
There's like Nicole's or something.
Yeah.
And then they moved on to Riccardo Taliban.
Riccardo Taliban. That's just.
Oh yeah.
We about died while we were watching the live stream of that
we're
last
sitting there
night.
watching. I was like, did they seriously just say Taliban?
Yeah. But yeah, what you were saying about the sounds, and this was a thing with the colors, and it's why some people kind of put off being too critical of Discovery's choice of no colors. And that is that television effectively demanded it back in the 60s, because color was still nowhere near past the 50% mark. And even if you did have color, I mean, you had what, 320 by 240 equivalent resolution at that time on a box that was, 20 inches was huge. And yeah, a lot of really good producers produced their content to match the medium that they were dealing with. Which is why you get so many push-ins. Like, even if you watch 80s TV, that's why there's so many push-ins onto people's faces and everything. Even TNG, you see that quite a lot because you're dealing with 4:3 ratio and low res.
Have you ever seen the pictures from the set of I think, was it the Addams Family or the Monsters? The shows were obviously filmed in black and white,
Right.
but there were some pictures from the sets, and the sets were crazy colorful.
Right, so that so the contrast would show.
It's just so that you get the black and white contrast out of it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's funny. It's like, and you don't realize how low the resolution is until you see some of these things. Like if you watch them now, like my wife and I have been rewatching Battlestar Galactica, and which is on Tubi, by the way, for free, so you don't have to pay for it if anybody that wants to rewatch it. But the funny thing is that it's not even like remastered or anything. It's just, it's just that it's not being broadcast on an old fuzzy TV and haven't seen it in a long time. And when you watch the scenes, like there's a scene where Starbuck and Apollo are doing a spacewalk, planting these explosive charges on the exterior of the hull. And it's like the strings are so, it's like they're not even hidden. They're just, like you can just, you literally just see the wires right in front of the camera. Like there's nothing hiding at all. And you're just laughing because it's like, did they even try to hide these? And the answer is no, because they knew the resolution wouldn't pick up on an old TV.
Yeah.
And you didn't realize just how bad the resolution was.
Donnie says here that TNG was shot on 35mm film as well, yet post-produced to videotapes.
Yeah.
But still, it was 4:3 format, because even when they did the high def remaster to Full HD, they did it in 4:3. Yeah, they still there is still the same ratio. Despite some of the scenes when they cleaned it up, and since they used the original film material that then was used for the transfer to Blu-ray, you can see certain parts, let's say, of the set that the camera that it was cropped on TV, but now when you watch it, and it's especially visible in some scenes in season 1 and season 2, you can see the upper edge of the stage and basically the sets, and sometimes like glimpses of like ramps and where the lights are hanging.
That's like, one of the shots that's bugged me the most ever, even when I was a kid, has always been, and I don't know, it's one of the most obvious goofs, and I don't know why it ever made it into the final film, was in Star Trek The Motion Picture when Kirk is leaving the airlock and you can clearly see the borders of the set.
Where? Which scene?
When Kirk leaves the Enterprise, you can see the edge of the set.
When he is going for Spock?
Yeah. It's so painfully obvious, and they just left it in, and nobody ever says anything about it.
Well, I know one of the funny things that they did, I think it was in the motion picture.
Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Or maybe I'm thinking of something else. Oh no, I'm thinking of something I watched about Jurassic Park. On a side note, funny things like that. They weren't able to build out the set fast enough for the main visitor center, so they left it in a disheveled, incomplete state, and then changed the story to match that the place had still not finished for opening.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I was watching a documentary on Jurassic Park on YouTube maybe a month ago, so I don't remember all the details where they were comparing the original film. There's a channel that guy is doing, like, checking original movie and then different transfers to Blu-ray, to 4K, to 3D, and so on and so on. And there are multiple transfers of Jurassic Park, and he was showing, like, the first Blu-ray release that was the 2D, and then they did another Blu-ray release, 2D and 3D, the 25-year anniversary edition or something like that. And the transfer that was done, like the second time, where you would expect that they would make it even better, looks actually way worse than the original, than the first transfer to Blu-ray. And the only thing that they did, that they removed certain, like, some wires that were visible, or some of those shots where cameras are visible, or puppeteers. So they removed it digitally for the second transfer, but still the picture quality looks horrible. And as well, the guy said since the Matrix trailer dropped today.
Oh yeah. What do you think?
It's appropriate to talk about that one as well. That basically every single transfer that you saw on TV or on Blu-ray or DVD is a completely different, differently colorized movie than what you saw originally in theaters. So right now they are doing a new transfer to, I think, 4K. They are doing right now, that is going to be the actual color palette that the Wachowskis used in the original movie, because every single Matrix scene, now when you are watching it, you see that everything is basically green tinted, but the green tint is a way more saturated, like, hue than it was in the original movie release. That it was only like slight green tint, like Spock's skin, like that. And in all the Blu-ray releases, they basically made it look like very, very green.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff is the old typical. They realized they didn't do it quite the way they wanted to originally, and then they go back and fix things. Kind of like, Han shot first.
Hey folks, thanks for letting me in. But color grading has become quite a big thing since they could do it digitally. Since Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, I think was the first film that could do digital color grading. And then they used it for the Lord of the Rings.
They overdo it now, though. That's the problem.
I agree.
Yeah. And for example, right now there was this new transfer of TMP. Right now, it's going to be. It was supposed to be released sometime right now in September, I think. And what they mentioned, somebody mentioned that it's not even worth it because they messed up the color grading when they did the 4K transfer. I'm not sure if it's also because they did like two things with the movie. First is something like new transfer to 4K, and there is as well like the rescan. And I don't know if the rescan is already out, but that is going to be hopefully better, because what the guy showed on his videos, basically the scenes where Enterprise is already in Voyager going to the original Voyager satellite. In the movie, it is everything extremely blue, and they oversaturated the blue color.
Yeah, like the original Blu-rays for the movies.
Yeah. Where
like
to such an extent that it's actually blurry. so blue that it's blurry, despite high definition transfer.
That happened with the Star Trek 2 Blu-rays that were first released. It looks all washed and blue. I mean, I kind of miss movies before they were color graded. Like I was watching A Few Good Men, and the photography is beautiful, just without any tinkering.
Yeah. And Donnie says here they are the CGI effects are to be recreated in 4K. Okay, so definitely because and yeah, the color grading it's a big story because somebody another video that I watched was about the Marvel movies, and since they are shooting on digital cameras, they basically somebody was extremely complaining about, you know what, I'm blind, so it's not something, and my feelings for aesthetics of a picture is horrible. I'm the worst person, for example, for taking pictures. Like if somebody asks me, could you take a picture of me, I'd rather say only if it's a question of life and death, because I'm horrible. I don't have the eye for taking pictures, so I don't care that much about the color grading. If you don't show me like comparison side by side, I don't care. If I see it like with the Jurassic Park where the guy was really showing everything side by side, I would say okay. But back to the Marvel thing that I wanted to say is that the guy was complaining that movies like Civil War, Civil War was the one with Spider-Man, the first appearance. That it was extremely blunt in terms of the color palette, especially the airport fight scene, where and he was showing like comparison what could be done versus what it is actually in the movie release, and it is basically very damp colors, is it, or how should I call it? Literally, that the colors don't jump out from the scene, and that everything is washed one color into each other, and that's because they didn't do much with color grading of the digital media. And those guys who are doing it are as well complaining about DNR, digital noise reduction.
Yeah.
So and actually, when you have the noise, basically when it's not completely like, because digital noise reduction takes away the how do you call it? I don't have the right word right now. It's when it has the effect like it was on shown on sand. You know, like
film
when you
grain is what you're looking.
Grain. Yeah, that when they are removing the film grain, digitally, everything looks smooth but unnatural. Yeah, that's the biggest problem.
Agree.
But yeah.
I miss the artifacts of old films,
Yes.
whether it's film grain or even the sound of the projector in the background. I kind of miss that.
Well, like one of the things you notice, and like I remember when I was a kid going to the theater, if you would look at the corners of a film, like look at where anything was at the edge of the film of the picture, you would notice everything was always vibrating because the film was jostling inside the projector. And also that's why visual effects that were added after the fact never sat perfectly well, because even when it was being filmed, the film didn't sit perfectly in the camera, and so there was always a little bit of wiggle. And in fact, that's why in programs like After Effects, there's actually an effect you can apply called wiggle to randomly move things around a little bit to give it that effect.
Yeah, the shaky effect.
Probably why Star Wars looks a little rough, and I love that.
Right.
The original Star Wars looks rough. I love it, though. I love it.
So those imperfections can trick you into thinking, and in fact, that's why movies are 24 frames per second, because even though 24 frames per second is not as real as like 60 frames per second, because of the fact that that's what film has always been. That's what feels real to us. And so it's actually one of those things that we resist change. 24 frames per second was actually created as a standard because of cost savings, because they figured that was the lowest frame rate that audiences found acceptable.
Because you can have the 24 frames per second give you the lowest smooth moves.
Right.
So that you don't have like when you are doing clay animation, like when you are doing like
Wallace and Gromit.
Right.
Yeah, Wallace and Gromit. It's basically the minimum is the 24 frames. Yeah.
And when they did Who Framed Roger Rabbit, they animated everything in 24 frames when usually they would do it with 12 frames. But they wanted to match the real life images, even in the cartoon short at the beginning.
Right.
But yeah,
so 30 frames, 40 frames, 50 frames actually looks better. It's sharper picture, it's smoother, but the reason that now we prefer 24 frames intuitively is because we're trained to. Nothing more than that. Yeah. We are all trained to prefer 24 frames because that's what we've been watching when we've gone to the theater ever since we were little kids.
What was the frame rate that Peter Jackson filmed The Hobbit?
48, double.
Something completely like he doubled it.
Yeah, and a lot of people hated it.
Hated it, yeah, exactly. And I don't. I remember one thing. The first time when we bought the first large screen TV, which was literally like 11 years ago, when I got 55-inch TV.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one effect that I was like.
Oh, the smooth.
No, everything. And the first movie that I watched was Back to the Future that I put on Blu-ray, and I watched it, and I remember one thing: the picture seemed unnatural. It looked like a Mexican telenovela, because it was so unnatural. It was extremely sharp. Mm-hmm. It was a first time I really I had first big screen, and it took some time to get used to that type of picture. Right now in the living room, there's a 75-inch TV, and I don't mind it anymore. Right, and it's a 4K TV, and because I got used to it.
You've retrained yourself. When we say we get used to it, it just means you've retrained your brain to be able to accept that type of input. And so that's where, nowadays, and that's part of when we talk about visual effects, part of the reason when we look at older movies and we say, wow, those visual effects look like crap, but in 1979, when we saw those same movies, we're like, wow, these are incredibly great special effects. Yes. It's the same thing. It's because now we've trained ourselves to only accept things that look photoreal. But 20 years from now, what we consider photoreal is going to be way better than what we think today. Like if you compare the Matrix trailer that came out today to the Matrix from 1999, I mean, come on. It's not. It's the new Matrix looks 1,000 times better. But quite frankly, looking at the trailer, I was kind of going, eh.
Did you like the trailer?
No, it was all right. It was like, you know what? When me and the wife watched it, and we both kind of had the same reaction. Yeah, well, it'll probably be fun, but we're not like, oh yeah. No, it was like, yeah, it looks like it'll be fun. We're not jazzed. We're not thrilled, but it looks like it's going to be a fun movie. Honestly, it just looks like a rehash. It looks like, to me, we're gonna get the same story again with better visual effects.
On my signal.
And on my signal, what?
That was my phone.
Unleash hell.
Sorry about that. It was a pop-up ad. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
Yeah, with special effects, basically, when it started that we became used to, when we got spoiled with special effects, it literally started with Terminator 2.
Yeah, or maybe the Abyss before that.
Well, you know the funny thing about Terminator 2 is rewatch it with a critical eye, and you'll be amazed how bad those visual effects are. And so, if you actually slow it down and look at it, there are scenes where the T-1000 is literally a guy wearing tinfoil. And
I still love it, though.
I know, but you don't realize it because you only see it for a split second. But like there are scenes when it's just a guy spray painted silver, and you think you're seeing that computer generated image because there's only I think it's like I can't remember some ridiculously low number. It's only like 45 seconds of actual computer animation, but because it was so difficult to do.
Yeah, and he started with the Abyss first. You know, with the
the
liquid pseudopod.
Yeah, with the water effects. Yeah,
Right.
definitely. Yeah, but I said that that is the one movie where everything started. Like we got spoiled, and basically because I remember that after Terminator 2, I was evaluating every other sci-fi movie with special effects to I was comparing it to Terminator 2, and did it match up, or did it reach the quality, or did it not?
Right.
And the same with Jurassic Park. The first Jurassic Park basically was great because Spielberg did basically the same thing as with Jaws. You don't see the shark for you see the shark only like for a few minutes in the whole movie. And with Jurassic Park, the first one, I think there is something like 12 minutes of dinosaurs in the whole movie or something, on screen, but still it's a great movie.
Right.
And but there is one thing where special effects actually don't look that great on many occasions right now, despite we got so used to it.
I think that's why, though. I think it's because we're so used to great visual effects that they're just not.
You can tell lazy CGI really.
No,
quickly.
I don't think it's even that, Mercer. I think it's just that we are so accustomed to great visual effects that great visual effects just aren't that impressive. Because if you look at the visual effects, like if you look at the visual effects for the Matrix Resurrections, just from that trailer, there's no denying that they're beautiful effects, but they're not going to impress me and get me excited about the movie with visual effects. Because if I just want great visual effects, I can watch Avengers Endgame or 1,000 other movies.
Or Lord of the Rings, Yeah. Which I think.
And by the way, Thomas, I ain't buying you an 8K TV because I can't buy an 8K TV for me. So no. But you can buy me an 8K TV. I'll be fine with that.
I don't think I need an 8K TV because what screen size would you have to? Would you actually have to have?
The human eye wouldn't see it. The human eye wouldn't even detect the difference.
It depends on that human.
Let's say one thing.
Unless it was very big. Unless it was a very big screen, it would be.
Well, it also depends on what you're doing with it. I mean, like I would love to have an 8K TV, but I would use it as a monitor. So That's...
The thing is, actually, the TVs are right now. The software and the AI in the TV is so good right now. I can tell you that when Bird was streaming Futurama, and he was streaming it on the site that I'm not going to name here, and it was actually a relatively low resolution that that Bird uses because he's not going to stream everything in full HD. And I was watching it on the living room TV, and it's a 75-inch TV, and I was standing, and it's hanging on the wall, so I was literally close to the TV, maybe literally like 1 feet in front of the TV, and I can tell you that the upscaling, what the TV is able to do, is just incredible. There was nothing like pixelation; everything was smooth.
Do you have an OLED TV, whatever that is?
Actually, and it's not even an OLED TV because I did. Not that I didn't have the money. My wife didn't allow me to spend the money for an OLED TV.
What's the difference between an OLED TV and what you have?
And OLED TV would be even OLED TV would do that even better, and 8K OLED TV. But honestly, I'm not going to pay something like I don't know how much they cost, but it's basically a small car or a TV. You know, like if I wanted to get something like 60-inch TV OLED, I could buy for that money a small car or a used car. So it's not going to happen.
What's up, Jason?
Hey,
How you doing?
poutine this time.
How you doing?
Well,
thanks.
and I got to say, I apologize to. I did not see. I didn't have the private chat up in there, and I didn't see Captain Trek and Kronos and also Jason left stuff in the private chat, and I didn't see. So Captain Trek, I'm sorry, I didn't even see you backstage because I had the chat covering that. And so I didn't see the. If you want to come back, you're more than welcome. I promise I'm not a shill. I swear I'm not. Because just because I like Strange New Worlds doesn't make me a shill. It's not like I'm saying, hey, Discovery is awesome.
You want to say something nice about Discovery? I like the phasers that they use, which look like the original phasers.
Well,
I'm gonna go with they didn't.
Nice.
They didn't say pew pew pew.
Oh man! Yeah. You had to say that.
Another gem from his
I was
panel.
really, I was hoping they were just going to stick with the resonate thing, but you had to say that. That was okay. But oh man, I got to tell you about this one. All right, Joseph. They did this. They actually did this in the trailer for Prodigy. During they were having an action sequence, and when they fired phasers, the main character actually says pew 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 as they're hitting the pew 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 button. I am not kidding.
Oh,
hey, Jason, if you want, I'll go find the stretched out wire and grab a wrench.
The what,
just
sir?
for you.
Resonate.
I said, if you want, I'll go grab a wrench and go find a stretched out cable and just start hitting it for you.
I couldn't believe it. When they actually, I was like, man, not only are you guys ignorant of the fact that everybody's mad about you guys going pew 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 all the time in these shows, but you're literally putting dialogue that says pew pew pew. And I'm like, wow,
yeah,
really?
It's tacky. It's a little tacky.
So the pew 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 didn't resonate with you, right?
No, pew 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 definitely did not resonate. So
So what were you saying, Joseph, about an OLED TV or monitor?
I mentioned
TV or monitor that they are crazy expensive right now.
Oh,
yeah. Quality undeniable quality of the picture. I'm not denying that, but
are they worth the extra money though? If you got the money, are they? If you can spend the money, are they worth it?
So if you can spend the money on a TV, yes. With the monitor, I would be very careful about the usage of the monitor, because OLED technology is still very sensitive to burn-ins.
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
Even Samsung screens that are on all the flagship Galaxy S's, they actually pixel shift just to make sure that it doesn't stick.
Yeah, exactly. And with monitors, for example, and this is since for the company that I'm working for, and we have obviously trainings, like product trainings, and there was a discussion, why don't we produce more OLED monitors? And because there are OLED monitors in the Alienware range, literally like OLED gaming monitors. They are expensive, which is pretty much expected, but the answer from the engineers was that you don't want to use an OLED monitor in an office environment, because basically, just look right now at the screen of StreamYards. You have the middle picture. 90% of the picture is static, except Jason and yourself and my bubble talking, and around it, you have the web page that is burning in,
Right.
and you have the white that is glowing constantly. And with OLED, it would be constant glow of those LEDs, of those OLEDs. So, and just have an Outlook open, Excel. Those programs are typically like white background, or you can switch it to black background, but you are still creating static pictures and burn-ins. So that's why OLED, since they are very very sensitive to burn-ins, are not recommended as office monitors. And for gaming monitors, obviously, because gaming is you have still something happening on the screen, so the burn-in is not going to happen. You have on TVs, you have screensavers on TVs.
So what we got from all this is that Joseph hates whites. So Joseph has a lot in common with the producers of New Star Trek.
Yeah, and they call me Shill, and
yeah. So Joseph is obviously a shill for New Star Trek. Congratulations. You know, and you know that's great stuff there. Joseph,
I was gonna say for computer monitors. I treated myself to a new one for my birthday this year, and I got an IPS gaming panel. And for color reproduction, IPS for computers is absolutely where it's at. But if you're not after that, it's kind of like if you look back at plasma in comparison to LCD in general.
Yeah.
Plasma is technically better, but because it is extremely heavy because of the glass, and also suffers from burn-in. It
suffers from burn-in and leaking plasma.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. It just couldn't keep up on all the other competitive fronts. And OLED will never go away, but it's niche. It's going to be great for phones. It's going to be great for other small display devices like watches.
So what we got from Jason is that he doesn't like color or heavy, so he's very anti-discovery.
Yeah. I wasn't here at the beginning of your stream. Can you give the abridged version of what you thought of the Picard trailer, Mike?
The Picard trailer?
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about it, but honestly, I mean, oh joy, Picard's going to the 21st century so they can save money.
Here, I'll sum it up for you in 2 words. It sucked.
Okay.
My opinion on it was it's Picard, the budget show. That's what it looked like to me. You know,
it used elements from Stormfront. It used elements from All Good Things.
And what was the thing with the oversized?
It was just a retread of everything.
What was this deal with the oversized badges? They looked like they were cheap cosplay badges they were wearing. You know,
everything seemed overused.
I was like, okay, whatever. That was dumb, but hey, knock yourself out. No, I didn't. I thought the Picard trailer, the only thing I liked about it was Q, and so, yeah, no, thank you.
So did they do an extended version of what we kind of got teased with already, or?
Yeah, it was the trailer basically shows us that something changes so that the Federation becomes a totalitarian regime. And so they need to go back in time. It looks like Picard and the crew from the first season have to go back in time in order to fix history and whatever change that happened in the 21st century. In other words, today. And you know,
they couldn't just ask Q to take them back.
They didn't. I don't know how they go back.
They used the Borg Queen. It looks like they used the Borg Queen.
And the Borg Queen is involved somehow.
He says Q is the reason it happened.
Yeah.
He said specifically Q changed the past.
Okay.
So why couldn't they just ask Q to send them back there and change it?
Because Q's the one who caused the problem.
Yeah, but that's what happened. A few good things, all good things.
No, Q just presents the mystery, and then he says, "Now you."
No, he admitted that he actually.
Yeah, but Q's not going to fix it for him. He says, "Now you got to figure it out." Q says, "Ha ha! Now you got a problem. Go figure it out." Q's not gonna. You're not gonna say, "Okay, Q, fix it." And he's not gonna go, "Okay." That's not how Q does things. Q doesn't fix things just because you ask him to. That's not Q. Q's never done that.
It is so easy to time travel, though. They don't need to go to the board. They could just go around the sun.
They have to go to the Borg so that 7 of 9 the Borg Queen can get it on, because that's going to be a thing now. I'm sure we're gonna have 7 of Rafi's going to give the Borg Queen some space weed, and the 3 of them are going to just have a party.
There's easy ways to time travel.
Right.
Swing slot around the star.
What's swing slot?
Slingshot around a star.
I think birds
go to the
Bajorans
and ask to use the orb of time, or I don't know. However, they did it in DS9, where they could just beam through time,
or use Carl.
Carl is always an option. Yeah, Guardian of Forever.
Yeah, Kronos, I agree. I think Bird's drunk.
Bird, are you drunk?
Not an answer is an answer.
I'm watching the trailer now, so.
I'll put it up then?
I'm just teasing you, Bird.
I haven't seen the new trailer yet.
Anyway, so yeah, I get you, Bird. There are about 8 million ways for them to go through time. You're right.
I'm sorry, I just had to take a call from my nephew.
No, we know. He was actually just puking his guts out because of all the whiskey he's been drinking.
Bird is drunk.
The full Smarm review of that trailer, they ran out of money, so they have to go back and do, everything.
Star Trek 4 again.
Just walk off the set and start filming.
Yeah, I can't drive, so let's, it's like, where's the gas pedal? They did it so well in A Piece of the Action, but they're just redoing it again.
Sorry, Kronos. I'm. You know what? I've talked about it before, but I'm going to try to get back on the stuff like the Blazing Saddles review and other stuff that I need to do. Once we get, I'm working on the. We have to deal with the health situation and getting the housing situation dealt with first. Once we get to a new normal, then I can deal with regular YouTube stuff. But that's got to, the house and the health have got to take priority.
Will you finish the Hulk?
Yeah, that too. Thanks. I let you on here out of courtesy because everybody hates Slovakians, and I let you on here, and boy, see, this is what I get for trying to further international relations with Slovakia.
You are the worst in creating something. You know what? I know you. And since I need to go, I will basically just say it so that you kick me off the panel.
See, he thinks I'm going to kick him off the panel, but I'm not Bird, so I'm not a jerk like that.
Okay, but listen, because this.
Not that I wouldn't mute him or anything. I'm just saying. But
hey, Joseph, it makes me feel better. I'm Slovakian too.
I want to insult you.
Why would you want to insult me?
Because I'm missing the Borg series. I'm missing the Hulk. I'm missing.
What? You broke up? What? Man, you're having some serious. Slovakia's having some internet problems, buddy.
Talk to those Czechians next door and ask them if they're interfering with it.
I do appreciate what you're saying, Joseph, and I do want to get things back on track.
No, Michael, I get it. I get it, but I have to tease you.
No, it's all good, my friend. So, but you get some sleep and have a good night, and hopefully the Hungarians do not come crossing the border tonight.
I hope one Hungarian will jump into the bed in a few minutes.
Whoa! Look, okay is not jumping into your bed with you. I'm pretty sure.
That's a whole new level of international relations.
Yeah, that's wow.
This is an international household.
Yeah, are we going back to like the 1500s there for international relationships?
Prima nocta has just been reinstated.
Okay, anyway, gentlemen, thank you very much. Once again, Michael, thank you very much for ramming me on the panel.
I did not ram you on the panel. I had you on the panel. That's the difference. You said thanks for ramming me on the panel.
Or having me. for ramming me.
Do I look like
wish.
a Mugatu or something? No,
You wish.
You want to
Take
answer
care,
that?
guys.
Have a
Take
good one.
care.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Wow, that just went weird. So ramming speed, yes.
If that became a Hungarian Mugatu, then that would have just taken it to a whole new
Whoa,
level.
yeah. A Mugatu with an accent. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, the Picard thing. So that's the first time you saw the Picard trailer, Jason?
Yeah, I just watched it now because
Yeah,
I
so-
crashed immediately last night.
Yeah, so did I. And it just looked like, yeah, we don't have any money to spend, so why don't you just go hang out in downtown LA?
You know what the funny thing is if it plays out the way it could, which I mean I have no theory on what that could would be, but honestly, the 2-part episode in Voyager would probably be better than the entire season of Picard.
I'm thinking
The one with the one where they go back in time and Doc gets his
1940s.
no, it's the 1997 one.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, when he gets his mobile emitter and everything.
now, at this point, I'm thinking that Threshold is going to be better than the entire season of Picard. It just, you know, Picard looks like it's going to be another hot mess because honestly, looking at that trailer, I mean, we are going back in time to fix something Q did. And in order to go back in time, we're going to the Borg Queen. We're already going in 5 different directions that makes no sense.
And he looks too old, like you said. He's aged out of the role.
Yeah, he looked too old in the season 1. Now he looks like he's been dead.
Yeah,
You
he
know?
should be special guest star. He shouldn't be a star.
He really
But
does.
Toffee, he did die in season 1.
That's true. He did technically die, so that's true. But I mean, he looks like he's dead. You know, and the funny thing is, in the trailer, Picard actually says, "I'm too old," and it's like, you're technically a robot. Shut up. You know.
That's because they got his android body out of the bargain bin.
It makes no sense. It makes no freaking sense.
Nothing about Star Trek Day excited me at all. Nothing. Not a single thing.
Well, like I said, I think Strange New Worlds actually looks like it could be good. I want.
Do you like the new Andorian or Anar character? He looks really cool. It looks like the white Andorian, like the Anar from.
Well, I don't know if you heard me earlier, Mercer, but the guy playing him is actually blind.
Yeah, well, that's cool, but it's only 50% cool because actors pretend to be people who they're not, so it wouldn't matter to me.
Right, but I'm just saying they're going for a level of authenticity as far as because he can see a little bit out of one eye. But yeah,
Al Pacino could definitely see, and he still played a blind person great. So I'm not saying I'm not dissing it, but I'm also not like 100%.
Right, but how many roles are there for blind guys?
No, I agree with you. That's why I'm not dissing it, but I'm just saying like people pretend that they're people that they're not when they act. But I'm not. I do support the character. I think he looks awesome, and I'm glad that they found somebody that could act and still be authentically blind. I'm just saying it's not that particular aspect is not as important to me. Just me personally, unless I see it and it works.
Well, I'm not saying it's
just
important.
The makeup
I do think it's cool though because you don't hear about like occasionally you hear about a deaf actor playing a deaf character when they sign and stuff, but because it is hard to get signing is a tough skill to just pick up as an actor.
Okay. Yeah.
But you very rarely hear about blind actors getting any kind of meaningful roles. So
I hope it works. I mean, like I said, right now I'm supportive of it. I'm just not over the moon over that aspect of it. I'm impressed with the makeup because it looks like a mixture of the old Andorian makeup mixed with what they came up with Enterprise and how they updated the makeup and the Anar that they introduced. And it's just a stupid phone, sorry. And it just it looks really Star Trek-y.
Well, he is an Anar, so I mean, they did
did
say
they
that.
say he's an Anar?
Yeah, they did say that. So that
it just looks a really good job of keeping that continuity.
So that I think is gonna, and so that'll be interesting to see. I don't know. He'll probably be, since. The good thing is that's not a continuity issue because the Anar were introduced in Enterprise, which means that they're known to the Federation. It's not something like, hey, it wouldn't be like if they had a Borg crew member or something, that would just, or like if Khan's granddaughter was in the crew. Which I'm still, like I said, if that does turn out to be Khan's granddaughter, I am going to go ballistic. But it doesn't seem to make sense. You know, I might drink almost as much whiskey as Bird is drinking right now. What you can't see is Bird is like working on.
I don't drink.
You're drinking right now.
Water. I'm drinking water.
Yeah.
Is that why you're slurring your words there, Bird?
I'm drinking water. Kurogan water. Kurogan water's got a kick to it, though.
Tastes like vodka.
Yeah. You want some Kurogan water?
Do you think it's nobody ever mentioned the fact that they, and I'm not against it or for it either way, but I always pictured Pike as having like brown hair, but they're letting Anson Mount just go gray, and it's not that I'm against it because it's natural, but I kind of just think that Pike should be, a brown-haired dude.
I think Anson Mount looks great as Pike. I in fact, you know what? I think it's kind of refreshing to see a middle-aged captain.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm not against it. I'm just used to him, Pike, having brown hair with some gray in it.
I'm giving props to them for actually having the guts because look, talk about representation. When was the last time we had a middle-aged hero?
Yeah,
usually it's like some 20-something because oh my gosh, God forbid.
Thor looked pretty middle-aged.
Yeah,
Thor
in Endgame.
No, what are you smoking, Bird?
What, the guy had to be at least 40-something years old.
I gotta look him up. How old is he?
But I think he looks good in gray with gray hair. It's just surprising that they obviously discussed it and they let him just have it gray.
He's 38 now.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so what about Iron Man?
He's the oldest guy in the MCU, but he's also dead.
I'm just saying I like the way Pike looks. It's just surprising because it's going to take me some getting used to it that he's full gray.
Right.
Nobody talks about it. I think it's interesting that people just accept it on its own, and that's cool. It's actually a good thing that people just kind of accepted it as being its own thing.
No, I think it's cool. I like but now I am concerned that, and I know Bird said this in his video, and I know a lot of people in the Fandom Menace are absolutely convinced on this already, but I'm not willing to commit to it until I see it, but people thinking that basically Rebecca Romijn's going to take over the show.
I don't see that.
Yeah, and look, Rebecca Romijn is a fine actor. She's probably got more experience than anybody else on the show, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be the #1 show. And so I think it is going to be the Pike show. Now, if they do make it the #1 show, and no, Kronos, the proper term for anyone who acts is an actor, just so you know. That is the proper term.
Did you like the new Uhura,
actress, actress is not the proper term. Huh?
Did you like the new actors that they have playing Chapel and Uhura?
I was mixed on them. I mean, if you're gonna, I mean, they're. I don't understand why they're bringing those characters in.
Because they're on the Enterprise. They were on the Enterprise.
Really?
Guess, right?
Did you see them in the cage? Because I didn't see them in the cage.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I haven't seen the cage in a long time.
I think it's like a permanent member berry thing, just to draw in people.
I don't see it. The problem is, and this is the big problem you have with prequels as it is that you create invincible characters when you do that. And I don't mean that in a figurative sense. I mean it quite literally. Uhura and Christine and Dr.
Mbega, I think. I'd have to double check.
Man, now I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, and the Doctor, they are all completely unkillable because they all appear in the original series. Captain Pike is unkillable, but will eventually be in the wheelchair. Spock is unkillable. So the only character that Mbanga, thank you, John. I don't know why I just spaced it, but anyway, the only character of the main character cast, the only characters that something can happen to, is number one, who they're not going to do anything to, and then you have Ortega, who if they do anything to that, the LGBT community will explode.
But there's a lot of movies where you could
Khan,
But there's a lot of things where the hero is going to make it, and if it's a good movie, it doesn't in and of itself bring the movie down. Like that they're not going to kill most of the main characters in any movie you watch. So I don't see how the Invincible thing by itself is a part of it. Like for most of the MCU, they're not going to kill Shang-Chi in a Shang-Chi movie. They're not going to kill Thor in a Thor movie.
Right, but if they are going to, if they're going to do newer serialized Trek and they want you to have a feeling that there are stakes, even though yes, for the most part you don't kill off main characters, there are exceptions. Sometimes you do. Like for example, Tasha Yar died in TNG. Right, most people did not see that coming.
Yes.
All right.
That's low down on the list of things to.
Yeah, but it can happen. And in fact, one of the things that made and that should be something that you should like if you're doing a adventure show where the idea is that you want to feel like they're in danger. If you have a crew that's all entirely invincible, you never have a feeling of jeopardy. If there's never a feeling of jeopardy.
If the story's good, you can still have it.
No, you can't. If the crew is invincible, you can't have that.
I disagree.
Well, fine, you can disagree all day long, but it doesn't change the fact that if you already know how the characters end up,
it goes back to the Family Guy gag where they're all on the Millennium Falcon, and I think Han says something like, "I don't know, we're all going to die," and the other guy's like, "No, we got 5 of the 7 main characters on this ship. We're not going to die."
Well, first of all, that's played for comedic effect, and
right,
second
but
of
the
all,
point is he's making a point about main characters in movies. If the movie's well written,
there are movies where main characters do die.
Yeah,
and if you're watching a movie, sometimes a character dies, and you're like, no, like when Spock died in Star Trek II. And I will tell you, back in the early 1980s, when I saw Star Trek II and I left the theater, I was like, holy crap, they killed Spock.
You know that they actually had to mess with the public when there was a leak from the
right. That's why they added
they changed the beginning.
Yeah, they changed the Kobayashi Maru, and they also rearranged when he was originally going to die in Khan's first strike, but they changed it all up so that people thought that he survived because it was a fake out. But the also when they killed Kirk's son in Star Trek 3 is another one. And so when you kill a character, it adds weight to the universe.
But if the writing is good, that can also add weight. It doesn't matter if you kill them or
not if there is no way for a character to die. If it is impossible for a character to die, then no, you can be the best writer in the world. You're never going to make me think that the character's in jeopardy. There is no, like if you bring in James T. Kirk onto that show as a young lieutenant, because you just say screw canon because that's kind of their attitude anyway, and so you decide that Lieutenant Kirk is on the ship. and
how would that screw with canon?
Because Kirk is on the Farragut.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right,
that's already established. So yeah, they say screw canon. They put Lieutenant Kirk on the ship, and then something attacks, and they're like, "Oh no, the monster is engineering with Kirk." Do I think that there's even the slightest chance that the monster is going to kill James T. Kirk? Of course not, because I know that James T. Kirk is going to go on to be the greatest starship captain of all time. Because I already know how his story ends. That's the biggest problem with making a prequel. That's why you should never make a prequel, especially a prequel that involves legacy characters. If you're going to do a prequel, then you do it like you did with Enterprise. You do it with all new characters.
Right.
that you.
I agree
that
with you about
don't-
legacy characters. I agree with you about legacy characters. My only point is, if you have good writing, you
Well,
you
sure,
could
if
take
you have
the
good
viewer
writing,
with,
you have good writing. But the problem
Yeah.
is that it's still going to detract from the level of drama. You cannot, under any circumstances with this show, convince me that
gotcha.
that Uhura or Christine or
Okay.
or Mbanga or Captain Pike or Spock are going to die.
I was talking in a general sense. When you put on a movie and you kind of feel that a character is going to live through the whole movie.
Right.
If the movie's well written, you're not going to mind that
right, but if you're
because
watching a movie for the first
Yeah.
time and you don't know, and this is like if you don't know that there's a sequel, and say you watch the Matrix for the first time, wow, what is that?
Do you remember that movie with Steven Seagal where they killed him before he could do anything?
That's like a 3D version of my. Oh, you in Minecraft?
Yeah. I messaged you about this the other day on
okay.
on Twitch.
That was really cool.
A Minecraft version of me.
I grabbed the artwork, and there's some converters that actually produce schematic files for Minecraft.
Is that like in wool?
It's a mix of all kinds of stuff. So there's
whoa, that's like glowstone and
bales of hay. Oh yeah, the guys
That's really cool.
the guys that wrote the algorithm that does this. I mean, hats off to them.
Holy crap, that is so cool.
And then I put a big sheet of glowstone behind it in World Edit so that I could light it up and see it in the dark in the game.
That's really cool. Now, real quick, do you remember that Steven Seagal movie where they killed him off halfway through the movie before he can do anything, even though it was advertised as starring Steven Seagal?
I don't think I've ever
executive decision.
I don't think I've ever seen a Steven Seagal film.
Watch Under Siege. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
That's a good movie just to watch on its own. But
he got sucked out the plane.
Yeah, he got sucked out the plane, and nobody
like,
expected
what the hell is this?
He's a main character, and he got sucked out of the plane before the mission starts, and it was like really a way to like really surprise people.
Yeah,
they did it like halfway through the movie, and he wasn't in any of the rest of the movie because he died.
Yeah, because that movie was 1997.
Yeah, something like that.
And they advertised that he was paying money back to the mob, which doesn't exist. By starring in movies,
but they put his name above the credits. I think they.
Oh yeah, it was billed as a Steven Seagal film. You fully expected him to be in the whole movie, or at least 90% of it, and boom, he's out in the first 15 minutes.
I don't remember when it happened, but yeah.
Well, fairly early. I don't remember exactly either, but
it was about 15 minutes. They were doing that whole thing with the. Yeah, and he was actually.
So Steven Seagal owed Uncle Paulie.
But just as a movie, Under Siege is a good movie on its own, just as a fun movie to watch. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it's Andrew Davis directing, and he directed The Fugitive. And he brings the same kind of sensibility to this somehow. Like I think it's just a good movie.
Yeah, look at that. Kurt Russell on the top, Steven Seagal on the bottom side of the.
My understanding is that Steven Seagal borrowed money from certain people to take acting lessons and to get his.
And you know this because you know the certain people he borrowed from.
And get his career set up in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. In exchange for it, he had to star in movies that he was told he had to be in. He didn't have a choice. And they, when his name got big after Speed, they just used him literally like a piece of meat for every single video they could to make money off of any movie that had his name on it. And it worked for a year or so. Until it burned out.
Well, now he just coughs out movies like Bruce Willis seems to. Like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's.
I still think Bruce Willis though. If Bruce Willis is in a movie, there's like a 90% chance it's a good movie.
Not anymore.
No way.
He phones it in now. He's phoned it in ever since like 2015.
I'll tell you what. Mike, I've got an awesome, terrible movie for movies with Matthew Knight.
Oh, what's that?
It's Bruce Willis's one of his latest movies called
Death Wish?
Cosmic Sin.
Cosmic Sin.
It's on Netflix.
Is that the one where he's like on a space station and it's like Die Hard in space, or is it?
No, that one apparently isn't so great either. But Cosmic Sin is they're going to use some weapon to wipe out the first species they ever encounter in the universe. Except the trailers make it look like it could be interesting. The movie, it took me and my wife 2 nights to watch it, and that was spaced 5 days apart, and we just could not make heads or tails of what they thought they were doing with the plot. It is absolutely terrible, and you could tell that Bruce is just like, yeah, I'm getting a paycheck. That's it.
Well, you know that movie that you showed us on your movie night with the earthquakes and you know that Emmerich did with the 2012, I think it was called?
Yeah, 2012.
It was a lot of fun. Did you hear about his new movie where the moon falls to the earth or something happens and it causes more disasters? Did you hear about that?
I saw the trailer for it almost, yeah.
For real? That's really something he's doing?
Yeah, he's doing like he's found another way to destroy famous landmarks. I thought of you as soon as I saw the trailer.
Roland Emmerich is dropping the moon on the earth.
Yeah, he's dropping the moon on the earth, and I'm like, Mike has got to play that for movie night.
I got to check that out.
Moonfall.
As soon as that comes out on video, yeah, you better believe we're going to watch that.
That's going to be classic.
Because I do love some Roland. Roland Emmerich definitely knows how to blow stuff up.
Yeah,
say what you want about Roland Emmerich. He knows how to blow stuff up.
And bringing the moon down has got to be something different. You know?
Yeah, Moonfall. I see there's a trailer for Moonfall. Mysterious force knocks the moon from its orbit around Earth and sends it hurtling on a collision course. Oh, awesome.
It's super clear from the trailer that the mysterious force is aliens. But they don't really give you a serious good look at it.
Well, of course not.
What's the movie for tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're not doing movie night. Tomorrow's Jeopardy.
Okay, what time's that going to start?
Jeopardy?
Yeah, we're bringing back Jeopardy tomorrow. So thanks to John DeMarco has been working hard at getting Jeopardy questions together for tomorrow. So I expect people to participate in Jeopardy tomorrow.
Yay! I want to play.
What time?
My cat.
What time?
It'll be I don't have a set time. Probably 8:00.
Your time?
Yeah. And
I'm gonna
be
win.
able to make it.
You know I'm gonna win.
yeah. So
I should be able to get off work by then.
yeah, so we're gonna do up to 4 rounds of Jeopardy if I can get enough people to participate. Oh man, that looks so cool. The moon's just gonna completely wipe out everything,
raping the whole side of the planet.
Oh yeah. That's so Roland.
I thought you were the minute I
you
saw
got
the trailer,
people driving trying to avoid the moon. Oh,
when I
yes.
saw it, I thought of you immediately because I had not seen the movie that you showed with the earthquakes.
Be kidding me. People are
the
driving
2012
in a car to get away from the moon.
Like when you showed me 2012, I had not seen it before, and I just was like aghast the whole movie. I was like, "What is this?" So I thought of you right away.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. But no, but then next week for movie night, I'm going to try, and I know, Bird, you should be very happy about this. I'm going to try to help. And Halle Berry is in that? Holy crap! How did they get that cast? Let me see. Let's see. They got Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson. Let's see. John Bradley, Michael Pena, Charlie Plummer, Haley Yu, and Donald Sutherland. How did they get these people to be in a movie about the moon hitting the Earth? Oh my God. Okay. Anyway,
what's the movie called?
Moonfall. It comes out next year. Oh wow. So anyway, for movie night next week, I am going to try to get Bird to rescind his excommunication of Matthew. So here's what we're gonna do, and I hope you're listening, Bird. I know you're probably drinking your whiskey.
I'm listening.
Okay. So I am going to force Matthew to watch a double feature. We are going to watch Star Trek V and Star Trek 3 so that he can see beyond a shadow of a doubt that Star Trek 3 is a better movie than Star Trek 5.
Hey, Bert, are you trying to tell us something with your name change there?
What name change?
Even my cat knows that Star Trek 3 is better than Star Trek 5.
That's okay, Bird. I got caught out. Surprised last night. I was down in the corner, and someone asked me if I was, was it? How did you word that, Mike? Transitioning, yeah.
Yeah, Bird's in the transition corner today.
Yeah, that reminds me of the guy. He had a court appearance there, and his sister changed his Zoom name there, and he didn't notice. He went to court, but I can't remember what the name change was. Well, it's so funny that the judge threw him out of court. What was it?
Man, I so want to see this movie now. I mean, the fact that you have people driving away from the moon as it scrapes along the Earth.
It's cheese. It's excellent cheese, I think.
Look. So you see this car here. I'm bringing it up on the live stream for people to see, hopefully. Oh, no, you can't see it because I forgot I don't have it set up that way. So you can't. Let me full screen it, and then we'll share it that way. Share screen, bam, and there we go. So there's the car on the ground attempting to evade the moon. That's what this you're gonna see. And can I get it to play? Yeah, see, it's trying to get away from the moon as it's scraping along the ground. Yeah, only Roland Emmerich can make a movie where a car is trying to outmaneuver the moon.
Yeah, at least we got a good director for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Roland Emmerich is definitely the guy to get to do that. So
he's the one that
looks like the moon is too big.
What's that?
It looks like the moon is a little too big in that shot.
No, that's about right. The moon is about the quarter the size of the Earth, so that's about right.
Yeah, it's about. I always used to see pictures where it would be left to right, the width of the lower 48.
And yes, Professor Brady's Facts, Matthew was kicked out of Kuroga. Because he said that Star Trek V was better than Star Trek 4 or Star Trek 3. So Bird has excommunicated him.
Now, what do you think Emmerich could do for another disaster movie? What ideas can you?
It's going to be hard to top. It's going to be hard to top the moon slamming into the Earth. That's, I gotta say, I didn't think that he was going to be able to top 2012, but he did it.
He could try doing a remake of the movie Disaster.
No, it'll be a sequel or Mars hit there.
You know, here's what we need to get Roland Emmerich for. Honestly, seriously, so listen up, Warner Brothers. If there's anybody that works at Warner Brothers listening to my voice right now, take notes right now. Okay, because we know you've had all these disasters trying to get the DC universe working in film format. Here's what you do. Step 1, hire Roland Emmerich. Step 2, you have Roland Emmerich do The Fall of Krypton, the first movie of the DCEU. You're welcome.
It would be pretty awesome, actually.
So Roland Emmerich directs a movie and he just destroys Krypton. That's the entire movie. And then it ends with little Kal-El being shot to Earth.
He should be hired to do the death of the Federation. Have a disaster, destroys the entire Federation.
You know what's funny is his chops are good enough that he could probably do something funny like that. Because if you haven't watched Midway is a surprisingly good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very to the point, and it doesn't mess with facts or details hardly at all. So it might come off a little dry, but it's a solid movie for when he needs to be serious.
I heard Anonymous was pretty good
too.
Is that the
one
with
Ben Affleck, or am I thinking of a different one?
No, you're thinking of Pearl Harbor. That's not really about Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
Have you seen Anonymous that he did? I heard that was really good with the Shakespeare, where the idea that Shakespeare was just created, that the actual authors of Shakespeare's work is anonymous, and it was actually directed by Emmerich, even though there's no burning cities in it. It's called Anonymous.
Well, Roland Emmerich is actually a capable director. He doesn't just do massive disasters, but he loves doing massive disasters.
Yeah,
I mean,
look it up. It's called Anonymous.
He obviously likes the idea of making things go boom, and that's fine. And you know, and hey, who wouldn't? Like, come on. Who among us right now would not love to be handed $300 million to make something explode real good? I mean, come on. I would do it. Anyone? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So I absolutely can't.
Actually, you know what probably inspired him to want to do this, and what actually adds more credence to your suggestion for destroying Krypton? Mm-hmm. I totally didn't realize that he directed 2012.
Oh yeah. He did 2012. He did Independence Day. You know, he is the king of the modern disaster film.
Yeah, Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah,
he's done serious movies like The Patriot and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But he does. He definitely does a lot of super over the top stuff. White House Down, which was terrible.
But yeah,
I didn't think White House Down was that bad.
I got a bit of an affinity to the Scottish action hero there. So when you see Olympus Has Fallen, and then you watch White House Down is...
Well, look, Gerard Butler, notwithstanding... First of all, I love Gerard Butler because he is the most Scottish actor ever, with the possible exception of Sean Connery. But when they cast him in Gods of Egypt, I wanted to punch Gerard Butler in the face. Because that... Look, I love Gerard Butler. I truly do. I would love to meet Gerard Butler. But I really wanted to punch him in the face for taking that role. You're playing an Egyptian god. You are the most Scottish person on the planet, and you're playing an Egyptian god. That is just wrong. That is wrong on so many levels. And it was a crap movie to go besides. Have you seen Gods of Egypt?
No. I saw the trailer and I was just like,
That is one that's on my list for movie night with Matthew, not because of its fun, because it's so bad.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's amazing because I liked iRobot, which that director did.
Oh, man. It is so... The visual effects in some scenes are good. In other scenes are completely unfinished. Like, it looks like PlayStation 2 graphics. Like it's like visualization graphics that they were getting ready to do the real visual effects, and then they just never got around to finishing. The Egyptian gods are about 10 feet tall and bleed gold. Because why not? And yeah, it's
Confused Matthew would have a fun time with that movie.
Oh, Confused Matthew would blow a gasket with that movie.
So does he? I've never watched one of the movie nights with Matthew because of course, you have to use the service and watch it live, and you're 2 hours behind me, so it doesn't usually time out right. Is Matthew really, really sensitive to super bad movies?
Well, we have fun with it. I mean, it's just real. The worst one for him, the hardest one for him to get through was 2012.
Really?
Yes.
I've watched that movie at least a dozen times.
He was just like, man, it was just the physics bending, mind numbingly bad Like, really? That's, so the Earth just shifted over. Okay, great. Just when they start doing that kind of stuff, he's just like, yeah, he's checking out.
Yeah, but who doesn't like frickin' what's his face with pickles? With pickles in an RV.
He was funny.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Oh man, there was one that I thought he was actually going to break. Oh gosh, I'm trying.
The independent film that you showed him.
Oh man, there was that one. Oh, whew. Oh, what was it called? What was the one with the women's night one that I did for him?
Did you ever show him the Amazing
Female?
Bulk?
Oh yeah, Lady Terminator. Oh,
what?
Did you ever show him the Amazing Bulk?
Lady Terminator? It was a movie, and you can search it out. It's a real movie. It's a, I think,
1989
Indonesian ripoff of Terminator. But the movie starts out where it takes place like 100 years ago. There's this dominatrix-looking lady, lives in a castle, and the opening scene is her having sex with a dude. And yes,
this cover art just says it all.
Yes, that is in fact. Yep, that's it. So here's what happens. So this lady's in a castle. She's having sex with a dude. As they're having sex, all of a sudden she gets a really weird look on her face, like she's just suddenly like concentrating really hard. Blood starts shooting out from their groin area, and the guy just dies. Right. She then gets up, and like 10 topless women come in and drag his body out. And she says, "Is there no man who can satisfy me?" And then in comes Indiana Jones looking dude. And he's like, "Yeah, I can take you." And so they then have sex, and she's happy with him, I guess. And then, okay, I'm not making this up, Jason, I swear. He reaches between her legs, pulls an eel out from in between her legs. Like literally, you see her legs, you see his hand go up in between her legs, and he pulls an eel, a live eel out from in between her legs. Then he grabs the eel with his other hand and turns it into a dagger. And he says, "You are now my wife, and the killing must stop." And she says, "Because of your betrayal, I will get my vengeance on your granddaughter in 100 years," and shoots him with lightning. And then she walks off into the ocean, and she is never seen again. That's how this movie starts.
Wow.
That's how this movie starts. Now, I almost didn't want to show it to Matthew because of the graphic sex, but the movie isn't just sex. Okay, so after that, we skip to 100 years later, and this girl is trying to find out about this legendary sea witch, and she gets possessed, apparently, by this lady with the eel, and then starts killing people in a blatant ripoff of the Terminator films in order to try and get revenge on the great-granddaughter of that dude. It's just like so stupid.
Oh man.
I'm surprised YouTube didn't nail you for that, especially when you missed the censoring the boobs in the one shot.
Well, we did pretty good on the censoring, most of it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but
I'm
still surprised YouTube didn't nail you, though.
The top 4 billings,
mm-hmm.
all of them only ever appeared in that movie. That's their only acting credit.
I'm not surprised. When you see it, it's like, yeah.
I'm going to have to find a way to watch that now just because.
Yeah, John DeMarco actually really enjoyed the movie. He's trying to say he tried to forget it, but he liked it.
An old movie that I finally wanted to watch it because All the Right Movies podcast did an interesting rundown on The Thing. And I watched
which version of The Thing?
Well, actually, that's what I was worried about at first. I thought they did a remake, and it wasn't. So the first one is, of course, the first one done from the short story. And what looks like...
So you're talking about The Thing from Another World, of the black and white film, or are you talking about The Thing from...
The Thing, 1982, John Carpenter.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. because the black and white one was more like shtick. So the John Carpenter's movie, and we watched that, and I was, honestly, I was really surprised at how good it was, considering the era and the technology available at the time. But then when I realized that this, what looked like a remake, wasn't a remake, but was an immediate, like 2 days before prequel.
Oh the one that came out,
Yeah.
the one that came out like just a few years ago.
Yeah, like 2011.
It's got some girl in it. I can't think of her name.
Yeah, and anyway, I was pleasantly surprised between the two of them. They both the second one kept the same kind of tonality as
Right.
even
That one,
from the
that one was
1982.
like what happened at the camp
The Norwegian camp, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I was actually surprised that that Carpenter's The Thing was as panned as it was, because I never bothered to watch it for all these years, obviously, because I always thought it was just,
No, it's a solid film.
I like John Carpenter. They Live was good. Vampires was terrible. And he did the Invisible Man movie, which nobody talks about, but I love that movie.
The thing about The Thing, which is a horrible sentence, but the thing about The Thing is that the gore is so over the top. And so I think a lot of people found it distasteful.
Maybe it was for the time, because I guess when you go back and you watch, the first Friday the 13th, or if you watch the first Nightmare on Elm Street,
it is a very graphic film for its day.
Yeah.
And even by today's standards, the only reason it doesn't seem that graphic is because it's practical effects. If you were to do that film all CG today, it would be much more graphic than it is.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, the reality too is even like the Saw series movies
Thanks for
tend to
making
be.
Trek Day fun yesterday.
And Alex throws in a couple of bucks, says, thanks for making Trek Day fun yesterday. You're more than welcome, Alex. It was fun. I was exhausting. I mean, I streamed for almost 11 straight hours, which I'm not doing today, just so you know. But thank you. It was fun.
But yeah,
I will do that again next Trek Day, but not until then.
Yeah, the Saw movies are definitely way more gory in comparison to The Thing. But yeah, I guess when you think about 1982, it's kind of,
Well, Saw movies can't be nearly as bad as the 300, where every time they went to go do like a sword slice and that, they slowed it down so bad and showed the blood gushing. Is like direct a good movie just by having to show the gore in slow motion.
The most violent movie I've ever seen was Rambo. The one just called Rambo, where he gets on the back of this Jeep and just has a machine gun that just tears people up.
Yeah, he gets on a Dushka.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd say
that is the most violent movie I've ever seen in my life.
Now, I haven't seen Rambo, to be fair, and hey, Maria with T and Telly is here. How you doing? But I haven't seen Rambo, but I do think 300 is an extremely violent film. But I have to say, it's one of the most beautifully choreographed and disgustingly violent films at the same time. When I remember when I first saw it, and people were asking me to describe it, and it's like it's hard to really describe a vile and disgusting dance. It's just so beautifully disgusting. It's hard to really put to words how the way that it's truly art, but it is truly vile at the same time, and it's a unique film in that respect, because they've tried, like with the second 300 film, they tried to duplicate it and failed. Other films have tried to duplicate it and have failed. 300
TV shows have even tried, because Blood and Sand or whatever actually had a very 300 thematic blood design to it. I just couldn't even watch the show because I like 300, but it's like, that was good. That was enough.
Yeah, but I just couldn't stand how they just slowed it down and they had to just show a slow motion sword hit with then the blood gushing out of it in slow motion.
But it
could have done that.
it shows
easily with
But it doesn't compare to Rambo, where he pulls the guy's throat out of his mouth. No.
But here's the thing: it's not just about the raw gore level. And like I said, I haven't seen Rambo, but what I'm talking about is Zack Snyder, and he catches a lot of flack from people, but he is an incredibly talented visual storyteller. And if you look at the initial the Spartan charge from 300, it is an incredible scene.
Oh, no question.
And and it does tell a story.
Yeah, he's very good with the camera, and he's very good with setup, and yeah, like, and the other thing too with 300 is it's mostly blood. There really isn't that much gore, because when I think gore, I think you go and watch frame by frame just what they kept in Event Horizon.
Oh yeah,
and that is gore. And apparently they had to cut it way back from what was originally intended. And a scary part of my brain would love to have seen what they intended, but then it also was, no, I could probably do without that in my life.
I'm pretty sure there's deleted scenes in there for you to watch.
No, not for the Event Horizon. All the stock footage that was shot that they cut from the original release got stored in some oddball salt mine in some part of like the Balkan area.
Kuroga.
Like someplace down in Southeast Europe area, and it wasn't climate controlled properly, and all the film was degraded to the point that it can't be salvaged.
Thank goodness.
So we're never going to get all of it.
I loved Event Horizon as a film, but yeah, those brief glimpses into
those
hell.
Cuts.
Oh no, thank you. I'm sorry. Yeah, they showed enough. They absolutely showed enough.
Yeah, like when they had Jason Isaacs hanging from the ceiling, like that's gore. Like that, and the only time I've seen anything close to that in sci-fi, in particular, as of late, was when I'm getting laughed at.
Who's laughing at you?
My wife. Uh-oh, she's feeling cheated on now.
When she's feeling cheated on, you can tell her I'm way uglier than her. I can guarantee you that.
The scene in season 3 of The Expanse when the boy had nearly fully transitioned into it was season 3 when he'd almost completely transitioned into being the proto-molecule creature, and he had completely dismembered the nurse. Do you remember that? They had the nurse all over the floor in all of her various pieces. I was like, whoa, that. Hey, thanks for the warning on that scene coming up.
Really?
Yeah, that was definitely got my attention, that's for sure.
And Kronos just thumbs down my live stream for no reason, because he's mean. Jerk.
Oh, I haven't upped you yet. There you go.
Wow, Kronos. That was just mean. Back when The Expanse was good. The Expanse is still good, Kronos. Don't go there.
I think the only reason why anyone tries to say The Expanse isn't good right now is because there is he's a jerk. There is a small argument to be made that they put a little bit too much storytelling into Naomi's character in season 5.
But I'm assuming now I haven't read the books. I don't know if you have, but I'm assuming
no, not yet.
I'm assuming part of that is set up for where they're going with it.
Pretty much, yeah. Because 6 is basically, from everything I understand, I didn't want to spoil the show too much for myself, but from everything I understand, 6 is like all out war,
right? Which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, it's just like complete craziness. So, yeah, and hopefully they'll actually. I know the answer, so I'm not going to say it in case anyone cares. But they should answer what happened with that strange non-appearance of the ship on the other side of the ring, the one that had the admiral and the the commander lady.
And they just left.
That wasn't just done for funsies. There's some backstory to that, so it's going to be pretty cool.
funsies. I think you're the only person left that says funsies.
When do you think we're going to get an Orville trailer?
I have no idea. Well, whenever Seth decides we're going to get one.
I don't think he decides when we get trailers. I think that
I don't know.
decides.
No, I don't know. Whenever they decide to do one, it's going to probably depend on when. I don't know what their release schedule is going to be. They haven't made anything for sure.
Apparently, I say out just the right way for Arabic. It's just Canadian enough, apparently.
You think they're going to go to war again with the Mocklins or the Kalon?
Did that war even end?
Yeah. I'm just
the
wondering.
Kalon didn't really go to war. They just attacked and then left.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see where they go. I don't know. I think that the political situation in that universe, the Mocklins are going to be a threat. I could see a war with the Mocklins happening. I could see the Kalons being a threat. I think the Krill are going to become an ally. But then they're going to have to deal with, and this could be an interesting way to go, especially given Seth's personal opinions on these things. Being an atheist himself, and where he kind of tends to push that into his show sometimes with his writing, is are they going to make that a thing about religious tolerance and putting that aside because they still need to work together? Despite the fact that they think that their religion is a false religion, blah, 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 are they still going to ally themselves with the Krill to protect themselves from the intolerant views of the, now I'm forgetting what they're called, but Bordas' people, the Mocklins, and the possible invasion of the Kalon. So there's a lot of ways they can go with it, but when we find out, we find out. I try not to get too worked up about that stuff because it's kind of like, especially with COVID the way it is and stuff, when it drops, and we can't make it go any faster.
Yeah, well, look at the delay we've had on Lost in Space.
Yeah, I mean, for better or for worse, probably before we get Orville, we're going to get the next season of Discovery, the next season of Picard, the first season of Prodigy, and possibly the first season of Strange New Worlds. So
I doubt that. I know the first season of Discovery will be first, but I think by the end of the year, we're going to get Orville. Probably either the end of the year.
Well, by the end of the year, we're going to have Prodigy, Discovery, and
but Picard is next year.
Oh, Picard is
next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're gonna definitely have Prodigy and Discovery by then. So we'll see. We're also gonna have Matrix before then. We're gonna have Spider-Man before then. So we've got plenty of stuff between now and then to keep us busy. And so I'm just going to take it one day at a time. I'm more worried about, hey, what am I going to do in my house and stuff like that. And when Orville comes out, I will definitely watch it. But it's one of those things that until I get something solid, I ain't worrying about it because they're not giving me a release date. It's just like I really want them to say, hey, guess what, guys? Strange New Worlds drops tomorrow. But no, they said sometime next year. Okay, great. Thanks.
I hope Strange New Worlds is good. I know I'm negative on it, but I just want to go into an episode and see like the title of the episode, and they deal with just that story for just that episode, and then they ride off to the next place. That's what they say they're going to do, and I really hope they do it because that to me is.
So we'll see what happens.
I just want to see that again. I'm just kind of sick of 14-part stories. I'm just,
14 parts, man. That's more than a season now.
Whatever it is, where the whole thing is one story. I don't know how many episodes they do.
That's what's frustrating to me, is that modern television or online streaming now, is a season is like 10 episodes, and that's just, to me, that's while the quality is there, I would rather, why can't we have 25 episodes?
Well, Seth MacFarlane said the only reason he did 12 and 13 episodes for the first couple seasons is because he didn't want to
stretch it out and just have filler content, to meet the quota.
Yeah, that's what they like to say, but the truth is they just don't want to produce that much content. I understand that they can make any excuse they want, but the bottom line is it's work, right? And it is work. But
model is different for airing them. It used to be that they had to air them in November and February, and they had to keep a new show going for 6 months out of the year. So you needed that many weeks of television. But now they just air them on a streaming service, and you only need 10 weeks.
But look at the problems that we're having right now with shows. It's really easy to lose your audience right now, because how long has it been since Orville season 2?
Well, that's because of the
2 years
disaster.
It's not just because of the disaster. It's because, you know what, and I'm sorry, yes, the COVID pandemic has slowed things down for sure. But you know what? I'm sorry. It's not like every single person is bundled up in an ICU. All right?
Yeah, but they use a lot of prosthetic makeups. They can't have people on the set with that much close interaction with makeup artists.
You can work around that stuff.
It's not as easy to schedule everybody to be on the set.
You can work around that stuff.
TNG did 18-hour days for weeks on end. They produced 26 episodes a season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not as easy as just, they should be
I didn't say it was easy, but you know what? These people are being paid millions of dollars. I don't care if it's easy. I really don't give a crap if it's easy for them. They're getting paid millions of dollars. You know what? As much as my life sucks right now, you give me $50 million, I'll give you 20 episodes. I'm sorry. They can do it.
Yeah, I'll show up. I'll take the cortisol shots if I need them or whatever it takes, right?
Right. It's like it's I'm sorry, but it's just excuses.
I do think they need to make more episodes. I'm just saying I'm trying to see it on both sides,
Well, to me, their side is they don't want to work.
I just think we should bring cocaine back into the writing room. That should help.
Yeah. The last episode of Orville that aired was 25th of April, 2019.
Yeah, see, and that's not acceptable.
That was a great episode, though.
But that is not acceptable. And think about it. April of 2019. Okay, when did the pandemic hit?
A year later.
Right. They could have produced an entire season of content.
Well, they started to. They had to film it.
Because they were canceled.
Shut up, Bird. They could have produced an entire season of content before the pandemic hit.
They had to write it, and then they had to...
Listen, you can write an episode in less than a year, Mercer. You don't need an entire year to write an episode. And in fact, you can, especially if you know the character. Look, you pay me $5 million, I'll write you 20 episodes in 2 weeks.
If you watch just some of the content that DC Fontana has put out as far as interviews, they wrote some episodes of TOS in a weekend.
Right. You know what? If you know the character,
damn well. They were canceled. They couldn't do anything.
Oh, shut up, Bird.
They had no studio. They had no money.
You were the only person that believes they were canceled.
I've never even heard rumors of that.
Bird was the only person saying they were canceled. But
anyway, I'm just glad it's coming back, and I don't feel like arguing about
I know. But the problem is, Mercer, is that they absolutely could have. But here's the Hollywood mentality, and this is the biggest problem with Hollywood. Is that, okay, they wrap up a season, great. Now it's time to party hard for the next 8 months. Don't worry, we got plenty of time. Let's go do the hookers and the cocaine and the crazy parties and all that. Hey, Harvey Weinstein, how you doing, buddy? Don't worry, we'll turn on you later. But for now, let's party and let's have a great old time, right? And then all of a sudden, 8 months later, oh no, pandemic, we can't work. Guess we'll wait. And oh gosh, we can't write. We got a pandemic going. I could write during a pandemic.
Right from home.
And I'm sorry. You know what? The only thing you can't do during the pandemic is some, and I only mean some, of your filming.
By the way, real quick, they just dropped this news just now. Nolan's next project, Christopher Nolan's next project, has been revealed. Okay. He is doing a movie on Oppenheimer.
Okay.
In case you're interested, everybody likes Christopher Nolan, so I like Christopher Nolan.
I think Christopher Nolan is probably the single most overrated director in Hollywood, but...
Really?
I
like him.
I think the Dark Knight trilogy is so ridiculously overrated. Don't get me wrong. Is it bad? No. But
I love that. I love some of those moments in those movies. My favorite is when Morgan Freeman said is talking to the guy that wants to reveal Batman's identity. That was brilliant. He's like, so you think that your client, the wealthiest guy in the whole world, is secretly defeating people, beating them up, and you want to blackmail him?
That was a great line, but that was great not because of Christopher Nolan. That was great because it was Morgan Freeman. I mean,
yeah, true. I mean,
because your plan is to blackmail this guy. It's just because
it's a well-written line.
But but the problem is that the Batman trilogy, first of all, was not a superhero trilogy at all, and it was he was like, oh, we're making Batman grounded and realistic, except that it wasn't grounded and realistic at all. So
it was gritty, that's for sure, and it wasn't cartoonish,
right?
And because of that, it probably resonated with a lot more people.
Don't use
I think
that
the
word.
Effects are great. The special effects are great, like the helicopter exploding on the ground.
Yeah.
Great stuff in terms of practical and CGI effects.
And Moonjumper, to answer your question, no.
I wouldn't come out and say that he's the most overrated, but he's definitely a 50-50 director, because when you look at what he's put out, like Memento, a lot of people didn't like it. I did, but
I thought Memento was a good movie. Don't get me wrong. I think his movies are good.
Yeah, but he's like, I couldn't finish Inception, and
really, I liked Inception. Yeah. I liked Interstellar. I liked Memento, and I liked the Batman movies.
I was good with whatchamacallit there. Oh man, that's terrible.
Tenet?
Interstellar.
Yeah.
I liked Interstellar right up until the point where they had that line where the textbooks had changed that no one had gone to the moon. And I went,
well, you didn't like that quantum was the power of love? That was...
Well, the end part was particularly weird. But, I mean, when you get into timey-wimey wormhole stuff, I mean, you can kind of give a little bit of leeway. But that whole bit with the teacher and the curriculum, I mean, that... You want to talk about it in movies?
That was in the future because they had to keep NASA a secret. It made sense in the story.
I don't know, but for me, the way it was delivered, it was like,
but they made it was very 1984 issues.
Yeah, it was. It took me out of the movie almost immediately when that happened, and that suspension of belief just kind of got nuked so hard at that moment.
Did you like Tenet?
I haven't watched it. I heard that it was me. So,
well, and the funny thing is,
weird stuff going on in that one.
Some people, I mean, I think Christopher Nolan's movies are heady. I don't, which is a good thing. That's not an insult. They're generally well thought out. They're intelligent films. But I think that the problem is they know they're heady, and so they kind of think that they're better than they are.
They almost become pretentious.
Well, I don't think it's an almost. I think that, and so I think that that's where the problem comes in. Is that they're well thought out films for the most part, but they know they're well thought out films, and so they're like, yes, we are superior, and so not only and then people just kind of say, oh well, we saw the superior films, and it just has this air about them that they're just better because they're better. And I don't think that they're better. I think they're all right. And they're well constructed for the most part, but they're not the greatest movies ever. Like that Batman is not the greatest Batman. And that Joker is not the greatest Joker. Did Heath Ledger give it his all? Sure he did. Was he a great Joker? No. You know,
Why not?
Well, for one thing, because he wasn't the freaking Joker. He was just a crazed sociopath that liked to smear makeup on his face. But, you know, that's not the Joker.
So what do you think of the Joker, the movie?
I thought the Joker, the movie, was actually a superior Joker than the Joker that we got in the Christopher Nolan films. And in fact, I like the fact that the Joker, the movie, felt like an origin that could lead to the real Joker. In fact, the last 5 minutes of that film felt like the Joker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and so that's what you lead to, is you go to the Joker, you know. But in the Joker that we got in Christopher Nolan's, that wasn't the Joker. That was just some guy that likes the Joker and is crazed. You know, that's and you know, and is also, you know, oh, I don't make a plan. I don't plan things. Just because I put this bomb in this guy, timed it to go off at exactly the right time so that I could escape from prison. Oh, and by the way, I set explosives at 2 remote locations and timed it perfectly so that you and the police could get to those locations and they would go off right when you get there, but you wouldn't have enough time to rescue them. And let me see. I'll give you the time to get there now so that you'll be able to get there just in time. Oh, and by the way, I also rigged 2 ferry boats to explode. I mean, come on! This guy.
There's a little bit of plot contrivance, say the least.
Yeah.
But if you called the bad guy Bob, he's still a phenomenal character. That's for sure.
Well, he's not a bad character. He's just not the Joker.
No.
And you know, Bane was different. You know, so
Bane was tough because they cast a guy that's not even as tall as Yelly Face.
and
Man, I'm having a hard time with names tonight.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, he's shorter than Christian Bale, and they had to camera angle the crap out of everything.
And don't even get me started about Christian Bale and I'm not living, I'll get bad. You know, I was like, what? And remember before they actually fixed Bane's voice? Oh man, it was like, I'm not living, I'll get bad.
Didn't they kind of make fun of that on how it should have ended?
Dark Knight Returns is best comic-based film ever.
And Alex, you are thank you for the $1.99, but you are wrong. I'm sorry.
Did you ever see the video? Inception characters do not understand Inception. It was made a long time ago, and it is hilarious. Where they're trying to explain the plot to each other as they're being chased and gunfire and everything. If you've seen Inception, watch Inception characters don't understand Inception. I think is what the title is. It is hilarious.
Bane and Batman and Robin, Thomas. Don't even get me started on that. Bane! And you know, the dumbest thing about that, Bane, is that you have a movie where you literally cast Arnold Schwarzenegger as the intellectual, and then you have Bane in there, and you just have some guy in a muscle suit. What?
Yeah.
Really?
I'd say the writers of that might have been those 2 girls that were running the show last night.
Yeah, I think so. I totally did. I've never seen Batman, but it totally resonated with me.
Yeah.
I'd hate to say what they'd probably call Arnold Schwarzenegger. But
they might have to pull the stream.
I think they would.
Oh, they wouldn't pull it because the way the Hodge Tunes were making fun. They made a whole video making fun of Arnold Schwarzenegger. They even said how he got his name from back in the 70s.
No, remember these girls referred to Ricardo Montalban as Riccardo Taliban. So they would probably call Arnold Schwarzenegger Arnold and then some words that we cannot say.
Yeah.
And so that's because if you spell out Schwarzenegger, Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger demonetized, spelled with an N.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably the first part would be like a symbol for the German regime from the 1940s, and then followed by a derogatory term for African Americans. Starting well, so that was.
You want to talk? Speaking of Germany for a second, here's a funny one.
It's not a tumor. Yeah.
There was an incident at, I think it was a soccer match in Europe, where it was either Europe or Brazil. They accidentally played the first verse of the German national anthem.
Oops.
Which is a super no-no, because they kept the actual theme, and they kept the second, third, and fourth verse, but the first verse is Deutschland, Deutschland, über alles. Über alles, something else. Anyways, basically in English it works out to Germany, Germany, above all, Germany better than the rest of the world, basically, kind of thing. And it's like they didn't feel like it was safe to do that after World War II, so they just dropped it. And everyone was never supposed to use it again. And then they were playing this, and everyone's just standing there, and it's just cranking on.
Yeah, maybe we should be. And Arabic, yes. And Jason and I both heard that when they said Klingon distributor.
Yeah.
I was like, really?
She corrected herself, but boy, it was funny.
Yeah. Check out the Klingon distributor.
How far in was that?
The Klingon distributor, I think it was just before Riccardo Taliban.
Because I didn't watch the live.
It was towards the beginning of the live stream. Can
we still get the live stream? Can we still watch what they streamed?
I don't know, but it was during the red carpet. So.
I tried to. It said it wasn't available.
Oh, is it? Oh, man.
Maybe it's because
hosting.
Probably because they were so bad. We do, which is.
Oh, the viewer count dropped really fast afterward too.
Yeah.
Before I hit the sack, I brought up the YouTube app.
I should have gotten you to get a capture of the Klingon distributor.
Yeah. I brought up the cell display on the YouTube app on the Roku before I turned out the lights, and it had fallen down into like the 3,000 level pretty quick. Like it was still going, and it had fallen off.
How far was it? How much did they get at their peak?
Like about 5,000 or so. Well,
yeah, they hit like 6,100 or 6,200 when we were in the middle of Strange New Worlds, because the stream chat on that, everybody wanted to talk or see Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, that's true, John. They had to take it down because they didn't want our calls for a whale probe show to go viral.
Yeah, no, it's down. I'm sure if you really hunted around, someone's probably got it on their channel, and then make YouTube play whack-a-mole for a while.
Maybe they took it down because Will Wheaton got all butthurt because everybody was telling him to shut up.
Well, actually, that's probably why they weren't pulling comments and tweets, Mike. Remember I was saying that he should have had like a
I'm shocked that they didn't have some moderators.
Yeah. They really let a lot of stuff go by.
Yeah.
It's amazing that Will Wheaton and Anson Mount are the same age, or just about the same age.
Yeah, well, Wheaton still looks like he's about 12.
Yeah.
I know, Auntie, I know. It says life is so hard.
Normal was complaining earlier, too.
Yeah. Let's see if we can grab...
What is a moderator? It's like
I never heard Auntie so vocal. I never heard Auntie be so vocal.
Yeah, she gets that way with that because the door is closed. She wants to come in, and so Joshua's going to probably let her in a minute. But
that's a funny noise for a beagle, because we used to have a beagle, and he never did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she does that every now and then.
Huh.
She's usually pretty quiet. That's her little, hey, why am I not in the room with you?
Huh. You know, what was funny was one time you had the anti-cam up, and she did the around and around and around, and it immediately reminded me of my dog.
It's so funny when they do that.
It's such a Beagle thing.
I heard when they go to the bathroom outside, they orient themselves like to the to some direction on the compass.
All right, here you go.
I don't know if it's true.
Hold on a second, guys. So I want to show you guys that have not seen this. And let's see if we can get this to pop up.
By Leonard Nimoy.
Can you hear it?
Is a part of the exhibition, which is crazy. Lieutenant O'Hara's dress worn by Nichelle Nichols. Con garments, past and present, are included, including the open chest tunic worn by Riccardo Taliban and the costume.
Like, what do these girls look like? Do you have a picture of what the girls look like?
Why was Heath Ledger not the
They got
Joker?
cute bimbos at a club.
Yeah.
That are
I
half
can't even
drunk.
see them.
Yeah, they just look like a couple of bimbos. They really do. But yeah.
Getting that they're at the club half drunk already.
Bird was saying something. I think he was excited.
They weren't.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
bimbos.
The Enterprise.
They were classy ladies. They work for the same company
Sorry,
that
Bird.
the dancers
Yeah, they were
work for.
escorts.
They work for the same company that the dancers work for.
I'm sure they did. Here you go. One more time for you.
Past and present are included, including the open chest tunic worn by Riccardo Taliban and.
I was laughing so hard when I heard that.
Riccardo the
I was
Taliban.
laying in bed already, but I was like, oh boy.
Hey, you gotta show them what the girls look like.
Yeah, see if I
know
can
I
find
have
an
a-
image.
I don't have a.
Yeah, I want to see what
They
look like.
were both Asian, weren't they?
Well, I know the
No,
skinnier
no.
one. No, I think the skinnier one was Asian.
Yeah.
The shorter with the gray hair.
Oh, that's
I don't understand why do young people make their hair gray?
because they're stupid.
Young people.
Sorry.
They had too many Tide Pods, I think.
Yes, I agree. I'll be right back. I'm going to Geloja real quick, and I'll let Auntie in so she'll stop whining.
Oh, here we go. I got it.
Oh, you do? Cool. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I want to see what they look like.
I'll share real quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a second. Oh, come on. Where'd it go? No, not. Oh, come on. I'm in a rush now. I'm doing it all wrong.
Poor Andy's gonna Geloja all over himself. There they are.
Oh,
Top
so
right.
she dyed her hair gray, and she's like 25.
Because she's stupid.
It could just be a wig. You never know.
Stella Chu. It sounds like a sneeze.
Now, I watched on the news about how gray hair is a big thing these days with kids.
Well, they can have mine.
I never heard of these girls.
Yeah, they're just probably people from around LA that are trying to break in.
I mean, I honestly thought they had something to do with Star Trek.
No.
Until it was clear they didn't know the first thing.
Well,
I guess it was-
the real tell, come on, you must have picked up on the...
She's a cosplayer.
They were
Stella Chu.
making it seem like if you couldn't do this, that you were not cool in school.
She makes
Tell me
six
when
figures.
that's ever been a thing.
She makes six figures as a professional cosplayer. Who makes six figures dressing up as people and still doesn't know what Star Trek is?
Well, I think maybe that six figures is from the escort business on the side.
Yeah, she comes with her own Princess Leia slave outfit for that much.
And Naomi Sky is only 17 years old.
Well,
The other girl?
if that's the
is
case,
seriously messed up.
well, if that's the case,
Especially
then
when
there's
there
a-
was alcohol there.
Oh, that's true. And all those Hollywooders.
Like,
Oh,
I
Naomi
feel like-
Kyle. I got the wrong name. I
Not
wrote the
that
wrong
bad.
name. Naomi Kyle. I got the name wrong.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. I spelled it Sky. She's 35. Okay.
All right.
Sorry about that. I wrote the name wrong. She's an entertainment host.
Yeah, I mean, what kills me is that if they wanted it to be
Like
fan
Entertainment
friendly,
Tonight. Like
then,
Entertainment Tonight. Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Yeah, if they wanted it fan friendly, all they would have to do is just go hang out at San Diego Comic Con.
You mean get nerds?
Like,
Real
just get like Nicole DeBoer to do it. Get like Nicole DeBoer or hell, get Seth MacFarlane to do it. That would be hilarious.
There's a question for Bird.
Oh, don't ask Bird a real question.
Oh, it's an easy one. The cameo that you had Nicole DeBoer read for you, did she read that correctly, or did she derp the grammar at the end?
Well, she did say Bird O Prey 5.
Bird O Prey 5 channel.
Yeah,
the way she just said it, it didn't read clean, and I was just wondering if that was just the way it was written, or if it was just the way that she managed to read it.
I think Bird's abandoned you because he hates you now.
Wow.
He's just such a hater. But in the meantime, Life with Matthew, thank you, donated $1 and said, "Did y'all like my cousins who are hosting the Star Trek Day show?"
Okay, now that explains everything.
That explains a lot. Because they should have gone, "Oh my God, Star Trek 5 so resonated with me."
God, you just reminded me of Ralphie May skit because he did a skit there with the two voices like that. All these people that have nothing better to do than go out and protest for stupid things.
And Alex also, I think I must have been out when you sent it, but asked, why is Heath Ledger not the Joker? Well, it's a very complicated thing, but Heath Ledger's Joker is neither physically nor by attitude personifies the Joker from the comic books. And it's not that his character isn't interesting or diabolical. It's just that he's not. The Joker truly is an agent of chaos. This Joker is a person who claims to be an agent of chaos, but is actually a very organized and very methodical person. And it's also one of the most contrived stories ever. I mean, if you look at every coincidence that has to fall into play for his plan to work, it's ridiculous. This Joker is also, Joker is not a person who just wears makeup. Joker is disfigured. The grin on his face is not a normal, natural smile. It's actually much more like what we see on Jack Nicholson's Joker, where the smile is an unnatural grin that's forced on his face. So it's unfortunately neither physically nor his attitude are much like the Joker. That being said, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. Don't take my criticisms that I'm not saying The Dark Knight sucks. I'm just saying that it's overrated. And Professor Branding Specs, why would I give my opinion on President Biden's statements from today? Did he make a statement today? I don't even know did he say something? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
He was talking about Star Trek Day. He was talking about Star Trek Day. He's like, I can't wait to watch Strange Old Worlds.
Oh, okay. And of course, John DeMarco says, confirmed that I hate Dark Knight as much as First Contact. Wow. And I hear somebody's TV in the background.
Not mine. Mine's off.
Whose TV do I hear?
Not mine. I don't have a TV.
Must be Jason. Do I hear your TV, Jason?
There might have been some slapback from a video I was quickly perusing through the boom mic, but maybe.
I don't have a TV.
So I see you're watching other people's videos while you're on my live stream.
Yeah, I was trying to find see if they had the stream from last night anywhere, and there's clips of it on other people's channels, but there's nothing. There's no cohesive, whatever it was, 3 hours or whatever.
Right. Yeah, those girls,
that was something.
The amazing thing to me was just that they were paid by, Viacom CBS. That's just. You know that, and that just hurts me to know that Viacom CBS spent millions of dollars to put on a big Star Trek event for the 55th anniversary of the franchise, and that is what they hired to host the event. Of all the millions of people they could have hired, that's who they came up with.
Well, they hired them for their looks as for clickbait, not actual people knowing the franchise.
But wait, but that doesn't even make sense, because was anybody going to watch the Star Trek Gala event because there was a hot chick hosting it?
No.
I'm pretty sure there's a few.
No. The answer is zero. Nerds are going to watch it no matter what, and non-nerds are going to avoid it. Because you know what? If somebody wants to watch some hot random chick on the internet, they're going over to Twitch and watching some idiot in a freaking inflatable pool. They're not. Yeah. They're not watching some chick with a microphone interviewing Star Trek stars that resonate. And so, I don't buy that for a second.
I slept through the stream, but I woke up after the Picard trailer dropped, which I think was at the end.
And Moonjumper, I don't know if Shatner was invited, but I don't think he would have gone even if he was.
Shatner's in New Jersey because he's in New Jersey this weekend at a convention, so he obviously wouldn't be able to make it.
And Daniel wants to know if I saw the Matrix 4 trailer. Yeah, I did.
I'm terrified.
Are they're making another Matrix? Are they going to go? That's probably going to end up like Smokey and the Bandit, where they almost wrecked the first one by making the second and third one.
Honestly, this looks like it's called Matrix Resurrected or Resurrections, but honestly, it looks like it should be called Matrix Rebooted.
Yeah, it looks like they could just call it the Matrix again. You know how they do that with some movies? They just call them the original title or Matrix.
It looks like it should just be called. Yeah, it should be just called Matrix.
Yeah,
just take the off and call it Matrix, because it's the same story as the first. Actually, it looks like it's kind of a best of from the first three movies, and so they should just call it Matrix.
But it looks like John Wick. He looks like Ted, Ted.
Because they're filming 4 at the same time as having filmed The Matrix. That's what happened.
But it's just, I don't know. It doesn't look like he's playing a different character. It doesn't look like he's playing Neo again. He looks like he's just playing himself.
For me, the killer is that the only good Wachowski movie that was made was the first Matrix. Every movie, regardless of Matrix or not, that they've touched has been just...
No, I love Cloud Atlas, so that's with me. I love that movie, Cloud Atlas.
But
I'm sorry, Mercer. I've not seen Cloud Atlas, but this is where Jason and I are going to agree on this. I tend to think the Wachowskis, or however you say it, the siblings that have transitioned.
Yeah, most of their movies suck. I agree with you.
I don't think they're particularly good directors.
No,
I don't think that and now, like I said, I haven't seen Cloud Atlas, but every movie that they've done has felt like the same movie, that they're just trying to, they don't really know how to direct, so they're just trying to make the same movie over and over until they make it right.
Cloud Atlas is very different. Very different.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen it.
I mean, first of all, it's like 6 movies.
Well, like Jupiter Ascending is a perfect example. Ooh. Jupiter Ascending is just let's make Space Matrix, right? That's
on acid and ayahuasca at the same time, right? Because man, what was going on in that movie?
Now, the first Matrix movie I thought was kind of like the first Star Wars movie. They stumbled on a brilliant concept. Let's take the brain in a jar philosophical argument, realize it, and make it into a martial arts movie. That's basically what The Matrix is. And that was a brilliant idea. Nobody had done it before. And honestly, anybody could have made that movie, and it would have been a huge hit. They took state-of-the-art visuals. But they also borrowed, like they really didn't do anything new. They took if you look at the martial arts in The Matrix, all the stuff that everybody was freaking out about how cool it was, you can find that in a million martial arts films that have been made in Shanghai. Right? It's just that they just borrowed it and put it in a sci-fi environment.
To an extent, I'd almost even go so far as to say that they wanted to stylize in such a custom way, and I'm sure some people on listening and on the panel might know as well, but they blew their entire initial budget doing just Trinity with the cops in that room.
Right.
And that was because they wanted that idea that they had as far as the style of how that movie would be shot, I should say, to get approved, and they were willing to chance it because they were only given that much money, and they chewed it all up on that one shot, and it worked so well that, you know, obviously it became memed in all kinds of stuff, including one of the Shrek movies, and has basically been repeated everywhere. So it put a really interesting twist on cinematography for such a thing, and it lent itself to the fact that they were to portray that they were in control of the not reality by being able to alter the speed of things.
Right.
So I'll give them that, but I'll do it in almost the same way that when you bring it up with Star Wars. Lucas is an idea guy, not a director and not a story writer. He's like, hey, I had this interesting idea. What can we do with this? And then someone sits down and goes, okay, well, let's trim this off, fix that, move that over here, and then things get a whole lot better real quick.
But then the problem is that then it becomes a huge hit because it's a novel idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, okay, sequel time.
Yeah, and then they don't know why they were truly successful with the first one, and then they just kind of fumble into the next.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then we're like, well, let's see, how do we make the philosophy bigger? And they try the whole Jesus thing with Neo, and it just kind of falls apart. And,
well, they had kind of done that in the first one, partially, because if you tear the first movie apart on all of the weird philosophical aspects that they threw in there, they had Kant and Nietzsche and all kinds of French philosophers.
They just threw a bunch of random philosophy in there.
Yeah. Yeah, they just threw everything in the kitchen sink, and then threw all kinds of little Easter eggs all over the place.
Right, like every license plate was a reference, and everything.
The book that had the discs that he was selling was the title on it was a reference, and the whole thing with the guy saying, you're my own personal Jesus Christ, and
right.
Yeah, like they really went really hard.
And the point where there are people that actually, have whole channels dedicated to the Matrix, thinking that the philosophy is really deep.
Yeah, I know, and it's like ankle deep.
Yeah, it's really just kind of, let's throw a bunch of random stuff at the wall, see what sticks, and then people are like, wow, it's so cool, and it's like, no, it's random stuff. It really is. It's like, and the sequels kind of prove that they didn't have a grand plan. It was just stuff. And it ended up being, well, I guess we'll beat the machines with bullets. That's like, oh, okay. Because first it's like the EMP, it's the only defense we have. Except for lots and lots of guns.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
and big ones,
yeah.
And plenty of time, like 150 years per cycle, plenty of time to come up with something better than a completely open-faced walker thing that, hello. Or the fact that you got a bunch of dudes that are running the docks in a miniaturized VR environment. So why not have all the pilots pilot the machines in the same fashion?
Nah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Matrix, I thought it was fun. It was a fun idea. But when I saw the Matrix 4 trailer, I was like, okay, it's the Matrix with better visual effects.
Pretty much.
So I'll see it. I'm sure it'll be fun. but am I expecting to be wowed by it? No. I'm expecting to have a good popcorn movie. You know, that's all I'm expecting out of it. However, the good news is when I go into a movie with lower expectations, I'm usually not disappointed.
I'm watching, kind of glancing at the opening scene of the first Matrix with Trinity, and I'm starting to see all the artifacts of bad special effects. It doesn't hold up.
No, it does.
Like,
It really. If you look at the Trinity scene, it's funny too, because if you look at the Trinity scene with the cops at the beginning, you can actually tell it had a lower budget than the rest of the film. You know, because the fighting in that the choreography and everything was really subpar compared to the rest of that film. But it was what got them the rest of the film. Like you were saying.
It's like they wrote a short story and then went back to the producers and said, please.
Yes. And the producer's like, yes, have lots of money. You know.
It's a good scene. I'm not dissing it, but you can see, you know, when she jumps and then spins in the air, it looks so bad.
And yes, Kronos lowered expectations. If anybody that gets that reference, and the other thing though is that I want to know, why did we recast Morpheus?
Did they? I thought maybe it was just like...
No, it's a different actor playing Morpheus. I mean, the guy does look like a younger version of Lawrence Fishburne. And it's like, so we have old Neo, old Trinity, and young Morpheus.
No Hugo Weaving, who I think is the biggest loss.
And no, I'm not ignoring you, Thomas. You got to put... I'm sorry. And no, I'm not streaming tonight with Deej, because... last night was the night to stream with Deej, and he went and did his own stream because he was mean. I beat him up later. I know he had to do his farming thing, but you know,
he was singing "My Heart Will Go On" like Bortus.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't know why Lawrence isn't in it, but I'm kind of upset about that. That doesn't add up to me. I don't know, you know, and if there's some stupid thing like Lawrence wanted too much money, or they just didn't want Lawrence, or, you know, Lawrence is just too fat, I don't know. But, you know, I want to know what the reason is, because that doesn't make sense. Because if Morpheus is in the movie, you can't tell me the Wachowskis didn't have enough money to get Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, they could definitely. I mean, I know he was in.
I am not ignoring you. Jeez, Professor.
I know he was in 2 of the last 3. What do you call it there? No.
Well, he was in the last.
Apparently, it's bedtime for me because I can't think of any names.
Are you thinking about Batman and Superman?
No, Fishburne was in the John Wick. There we go. He was the underground king guy.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was kind of insane in those.
He runs the sewers and all the homeless people that are apparently all assassins.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have gotten
movie.
They should have gotten Samuel L. Jackson.
Why is every movie like every small low budget movie now like a John Wick spin? You know, it's like we got the gunpowder milkshake, and we got this nobody movie.
Because John Wick changed the way that people think of gunfights.
And because the motivation in that movie was so simple but so effective,
right,
that it was an instant license to want to like everything that happened.
But like, why is every movie doing it? The other thing I hate, this is just a pet peeve, is now in every like sci-fi horror movie, all the aliens are just monsters. Like The Quiet Place, Signs.
That's nothing new. You make it sound like that's new. Come on, go back to Alien. You go back to the Thing from Another World.
But they have their own spaceships. They're monsters, and they have their own spaceships, and they use controls.
The Thing from Another World was a monster that had a spaceship and I mean and that was the 1950s. You know, the War of the Worlds, they were monsters. That's nothing new. That's just like, you know, they go, and you're like, okay, how were they sophisticated aliens? Why don't aliens ever wear clothes? I don't know. I don't know. But that's just that's just a sci-fi trope.
The simple answer is, you go with what works, because in this day and age, endeavors like this are expensive and mistakes are extremely costly. So even
I'm not interested
mimicry.
In that. I'm not interested in monsters. The reason I like Star Trek is because the aliens have a point of view, and sometimes it's right and sometimes it's wrong.
Well, sometimes the aliens are just monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if you don't use it as a motivation, so what you get in Alien and Aliens, and then you just use it because you think it's what draws everybody in, then you start to come back around to what we were talking about last night, how in The Expanse, the writing is set up so that it doesn't matter whether it's the proto-molecule or if it's Avasarala's character or just some random belter in the show. They write those things with a definitive purpose, even if it's only a short-term purpose within the story. They make sure that it's not a flat-out contrivance or fan service.
It needs to be an organic outgrowth of the plot and the story.
Yeah, and really, obviously, Mercer, you just don't watch the garbage when they over duplicate it. That's all you just do. There are things, either whether it's from cost or lack of viewing, that have been dropped off of streaming services. So fortunately, we do know that even with the empire that is the infinite money pool of Netflix and Amazon, they'll yank things if it doesn't do well or the cost ratio is too high. Like, I loved the Altered Carbon series, and second season the cost was just too high, and it just didn't have the viewership, and they pulled it. And as broken as some people have pointed out the story is in Altered Carbon season 1, and I don't care, I just am highly entertained by that series. As broken as the continuity was, the thing was fun, and just it was a level of dystopian punk future that hasn't been done since Blade Runner, and I don't actually like Blade Runner at all.
Me neither.
Really?
Yeah,
You didn't like Blade Runner?
No, I watched. I don't remember which one of the 18 cuts I watched, but I watched it. And the only part I really enjoyed was when Rutger Hauer did his monologue. Everything else just seemed, I don't know, like. And see, there's another director that for me, he's either hot or cold. Ridley Scott is people always think of his big hits, and then they forget about how many times he's made movies that have been either critical flops or just straight up disasters.
The Matrix is not. The Martian is my favorite of his. it's just a decent movie.
Oh no, stuff like that is really good. Like, he obviously did a great job with Gladiator, but then and of course I like the extended cut a little bit better, but the either one of Black Hawk Down is quite good.
Yeah.
But then you get the mess that he made with Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and there was another movie he did that was also one of those, he's doing that movie, it's going to be good, and then it was bad. What was it?
He's got 2 new ones this year. He's got The Last Duel, and he's got something else coming out this year.
Director. I don't want producer. Director. So, he did Exodus, Gods and Kings.
Which was okay.
Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Never saw it.
Robin Hood. It was
watchable.
It was really good if you were just like suffering from a lot of insomnia and desperately needed a cure.
Kingdom of Heaven. I never watched it, so I don't know.
That was okay.
And G.I. Jane. In the moment, I liked it, but in critical thinking, it's like. yeah, I don't know. He's just kind of, it's like, yep, maybe, yes, maybe not. And I'll give him one thing, though. When his brother committed suicide in the early 2000s, obviously that may have affected his work output, so I'll give him that. But yeah, he's definitely not a director where I'm going to just run right out. Like, I learned quickly. I mean, early on in my movie watching life, it was, oh, he did Alien. Everything he must do is awesome. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I tell you, there's a franchise. I've unfortunately consigned to the pit, though, is the whole Alien franchise. When video games from the franchise make better movies,
that's a sad.
You are doing it all wrong. Like I bought a copy of Alien Isolation, and I never jump scared watching any of the Alien movies.
Oh, Alien Isolation will get you though.
Oh, I actually got so messed up in the early part of the game. I actually broke the AI in it, so that I'm stuck. I can't get past where I am, and I got to restart.
I paid money to see Covenant, and I just don't remember anything about it except that they had a shower scene that seemed like it was like inserted from another movie, and they just put it in the middle of this movie so they could have the alien tail like while they're taking a shower and attacking them. It was completely out of place.
I can sum up Covenant in 2 words: stupid scientists. That's Alien.
Oh, super duper stupid scientists.
I just don't remember anything else about the movie except for that scene and the scene where they go down to the planet and they're just like hanging out with no helmets on.
Yeah, let's not put on a helmet. And hey, look at those spores.
Yeah.
Well,
basically, Mercer, what you remember is just the boobs.
Probably, yeah. You think they would have watched This Side of Paradise? You think they would have learned from This Side of Paradise not to step near any spore plants?
What I loved is the convenience of only one person getting infected by the spores in the air.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's airborne, and only I'm breathing it in. What a funny coincidence.
Yeah, that movie hurt me so bad.
Well, it created the Alien Covenant school of running away from things.
It's true enough.
So there is that.
I think you're thinking of Prometheus, Michael, not.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's Prometheus. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Fassbender hasn't had a hit in a long time, and even that was a big.
Well,
flop
Fassbender did do the whole Magneto thing, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that hasn't been very good lately either. I didn't even see the one with Dazzler in it. What was that one? The new one? Phoenix and Dazzler. I didn't see that one yet.
Oh, Dazzler, don't worry. She's only in like 10 seconds in the movie.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I haven't seen it yet, and I love the X-Men movies, or most of them, but I haven't even seen that one.
Really? You love the X-Men movies?
I liked X1.
No
I like
wonder
X2.
You disagree with me about Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, I like X1. I like X2. I like Days of Future
you just
Past.
like black. You just like black leather. Okay, I get it. That's why you like the Batman movies. Okay.
Dazzler's only in it for a couple minutes. That stinks. I like Dazzler.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I am going to bow out.
Well, that's okay. I'm going to wrap it up anyway because Bird's sleeping and
Thanks, Michael.
He's been sleeping for a while, and I'm going to fall asleep myself. Yeah. But thank you for hanging out with me as usual. Yeah. It was fun. Tomorrow night we are going to do Jeopardy. I don't know what all the questions are, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what John DeMarco has come up with, since he is our undefeated champion and now the question master. He is going to be my epic beard Vanna White.
Well, if it times out well, I'll try to be a contestant.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll play.
Yeah.
I'll just tell my boss I need to go home.
Yeah, absolutely.
What time? 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock?
I think we'll do it at 8. We'll do it a little earlier than we do the movie night, just because it'll be fun. Sorry, Thomas. I can't. You know what? I did 10 hours yesterday. Give me a little bit of a break.
Stay on the averages, man. Come on.
Yeah, give me a little bit of a. Jeez, some people. All right, so with that, thank you, Jason and Mercer, Jordan, Sleepy Trans Opre 5. Okay, that's a good. And so Bird is still sleeping apparently.
Normal wants to
He has
sleep.
not. Yeah, Normal's sleeping. Hey, Normal. That is one sleepy cat. But then again, cats. That's what.
God
they do.
damn it! You could hear me. I know you could hear me.
I know. No, hey.
I wasn't asleep.
Okay.
You muted me.
I did not mute you. I swear, I've not touched you.
No, you've been muted for a long time here now. So
Say hi, Normal.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, have a good one, guys.
Take it easy and have a good night, Bird. By the way, Bird, great videos today as usual. Your content is awesome. I wish I was able to put out stuff as good as you. Hopefully, I'll be able to soon again. And so that once again,
one day I'll teach you.
Oh, that's a cute cat, Jordan. That's a cute cat. Yes. It reminds me of my Normal.
Turtistan will reign supreme.
Reminds me of my Normal.
I think one thing that'll help Turtistan a lot is when Matthew is back in Karoga. That will definitely help.
What's your cat's name?
Jethro.
All right, Kronos, don't be saying
things
like that.
What's that?
Good
night.
All right, good night, everybody. Take care.